to our invasion in Venezuela and us cutting the fuel supply over to Cuba, as well as us imposing threats on Mexico to not give them any more oil. So Cuba has been struggling. They've been having power outages across the entire island, and they're at the brink of collapse. So it seems like Trump is looking in that direction, but I'm not entirely sure. So we'll go over that if we have time, like I said. If not, that'll be a topic that I cover tomorrow, but we'll see if we can get to that. Obviously, Iran is far more relevant and more important, but that's something that I want to talk about. So, you know, Trump is he's on a run. He's just changing regime everywhere. So let's see what Myron's doing while we wait, right? What's better? What better to do than to just watch the guy we're about to collab with? So let me pull up his stream here. See what he's got going on. He's on Kick. So go on Kick and support him. He's not on YouTube. He just got off of YouTube. Here. Let's see. You know, I might get cooked, though. I don't know what he's going to say, so.
You know what I'm saying? Because the wedding had supposed to have been started. Bobby Valentino standing up there at the microphone ready to start singing. Ask Bobby Valentino. He was there. Bobby Valentino will tell you this whole story. He was right there. He's standing up.
Right, Bobby Valentino, this shit. Mr. Rugal, thank you for the 5 gifted.
They're ready to sing, bro.
Don't want
ready
that on
to start
screen.
Singing, so everybody getting answered like the fuck. My mama and my grandmother just sitting there like she already know what's going on. So, it get to getting a little answer over there. So my sister ended up coming out of there and say, I had to get out of there before I whipped one of them hoes because they in there talking crazy. Something like that. Not those exact words, but my sister was upset.
AW sister.
Upset with what was
Okay. I'm very terrified he's going to say something that's going to get my channel in trouble. So we'll just wait for him. But yeah, we'll go live in a moment. Or not go live, but we'll collab with him in a moment. I don't know how long he's going to take. If he goes for a long time and he doesn't end up coming around, maybe we'll just have to wait for tomorrow, because I don't want to stay up till like 1 or 2 guys. I've been cooking myself the last few weeks, but I felt bad having the loading screen just running. You know, that was like really I felt bad. So yeah, I'm not about to turn on Myron's stream. But we'll see. I think we should be able to go live or run a show, at least for the next few hours. And we have some good stuff we want to go over. We spoke on the phone yesterday, me and him, for a little while. And so there was a lot of stuff, or a lot of things that we thought would be important or relevant or of good value to provide. So we'll go over that. Like the video. Give me some boost in the algorithm while we wait for Myron. And yeah, I can take a look at what's going on right now in terms of like regular news, but I'll just be honest, man, the news has been so slow. You know, every day I'm taking a look at what's going on, and there just doesn't seem to be nothing special. Here, actually, let's see if maybe this is dangerous, maybe it's not, but we can take a look at Myron's debates. This is from University of Florida. Okay, let's see if Uncensored America has posted anything for his most recent debate. Did you guys see this? They had snipers on the roof to protect him. WUSF, I guess that was a university doing that. Scary times we're living in, so pretty good turnout. Good amount of people who showed up, so that's cool. Nice turnout. Shout out to Uncensored America, man. They do a great job. Like I said, video is dropping tomorrow, so let's watch this little highlight reel of him versus USC students.
Looks like.
That's Nazi shit, man.
I don't think were the Nazis deporting Mexicans? I'm not sure. From Germany?
They're deporting
And finally, this is the most serious. What do you think about, unfortunately, clavicular getting frame mogged by an ASU frat leader? I mean, I was devastated.
Some of you guys may have seen this already.
I was in my room crying for hours. I mean, like, my glorious king clavicular was just mogged, and I just don't know how I'm gonna get over it.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know. I'll do a stream with him, and we'll go to the gym. There we go.
All right, thank you.
We'll build it back up.
You're a completely unserious individual. You're like 80, dude, and you come to college campuses and insult women like a 10th of your age, dude. Like, come on, really. What are your children going to say? Oh, my daddy is an architect. Oh, my daddy is an electrician. And then your children are going to be like, my daddy harasses women for a living.
It's pretty based. It's kind of based. I'm not going to lie.
I'm getting insulted by a part-time Hot Topic employee. This is crazy. It's crazy, bro. Anything else?
Nah, that was it. I'm not here to actually debate you.
Fair enough.
Love you, Myron. Pookie, I'll remember you.
Because the other
It's like edgelord trolling to the max.
problem we had was Valentine's Days for simps.
I mean, great, you talk to them and call them bitches and stuff, but when they ask you a personal question, you're scared to answer.
It's okay.
Why is this fat woman talking on the side?
Myron, I'm not trying to this sort of way.
You're being a little bitch.
I've seen some of this, but I don't remember this clip.
And I'm not trying
You're
to.
You're 17 and you're already fat?
Okay, Myron.
Yo, being fat at 17 is crazy.
I just don't like, you know, you're in college, everybody knows you, you've got a close-knit community. And so if my brother goes viral for a good or bad reason, he doesn't have to deal with that virality affecting his status on campus, right? He doesn't actually go there. Like, if you're a student, why would you embarrass yourself like this? You know, as much as you feel like the hero, like, you just look like an idiot. Like, what are you doing? Like, look at her. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Look at everybody. You're just gesturing for the crowd. Look at everybody behind her. She's filming, laughing. She's probably embarrassed for her. It's like, why would you do that to yourself? Like, I'm sure a lot of people don't like what he's saying, but as I always say, being the hero.
Okay, Myron.
Yo, being fat at 17 is crazy.
The debate.
Wild.
So crazy. Ooh. She got him.
I'm just. I'm trying to talk to him.
I'll tell you this.
She did all that just to stand back where she was and fold her arms. Doofus, bro. What are you
I'm
doing?
trying to talk to him.
I'll tell you this. They definitely put the fries in the bag for her.
Oh, my God.
You know, we care, are you hot and not a slut? That's it.
I think
you're a fag.
sometimes.
Oh, my God. Jacob, mark that.
And you're a zesty fag.
Oh, my God. Jacob, mark that. All right, we're going to have to segue. Bro, this video is going to get fried. Okay. See if we can, let's go on Uncensored America's YouTube, because I know they blur that out. Cooking me right now. Okay. Oh, did you guys see this? I don't know if many of you saw this. This went really viral on Twitter and Instagram. So my brother was finishing up debates at USC, University of South Carolina, and some kid steps up to the mic. He's this black kid and whatever, and he like takes his bag off and says, "Hey, Myron, I have a question." Then he takes his bag off, proceeds to bend down, open the bag, and like it was the most. You've just got to watch it. So here.
This nigga reckless.
I just want to say, y'all, he's talking about people needs to be less feminine, but he's wearing feminine ass boots underneath that table right there and skinny jeans.
Thank you for your observation. I'm still trying to figure out why you're not in the kitchen.
You're a fraud, bro. You're a fraud.
Why don't you just come on the mic and say what you got to say then?
She wouldn't let him. She wouldn't let him.
She wouldn't let it? No? Okay.
Boots under that table, you're talking about men needs to be less feminine. Speak up, girl. I can't.
You got like half a pajama on and then you got some sweater. I don't know what is that? You look crazy.
What they want. And aren't you Sudanese, bro? Why aren't you speaking up for your country, bro? You know there's a civil war going on there?
We speak about it like almost every other day on stream. I spoke about it yesterday. We spoke about it the 4 times we went live in the previous month. But she doesn't watch us. Like, hey, why aren't you talking about your country? Hey, I also don't watch you. All right, you're an idiot. Like, why are you going to attack or try to denounce my credibility if you're not actually watching what I'm talking about? And that's what a lot of people do with my brother is they go, I don't like the things you say and you don't speak up about this and you don't speak up about that. It's like, yo, we just did a 4-hour bit about that like 3 nights in a row. You just don't watch the stream. You watch clips on Instagram. You watch clips on X. And then you come to a conclusion. So I don't...
And instead you're here trying to incite violence between people?
I'm still trying to figure out why this woman is talking and why she's not in a kitchen somewhere making a sandwich for a man who is superior to her. See, this is what happens, guys, when women gets rights and they say dumb shit like this. It's like she had the opportunity to debate. I've been here for like 2-3 hours. She doesn't say anything. She's just yelling,
How much you get
being a moron.
violence between people?
I didn't incite anything.
Where's the violence? You're inciting violence.
How did I incite violence? Where's the violence? Where's the violence? Where's the violence? Stupid.
All right, let's get to the good part.
Yeah, so next what comes out. See you guys again.
Let's see, where is
Yeah.
it?
Anyway, Amazon bestseller.
This kid.
One more.
Myron Baines. This is my biggest
Myron Baines doesn't get his name right. Just watch this.
dream to come see you. So I wanted to ask you a quick question real quick.
Look at the girls in the back. Who does this? What is wrong with this kid? And so if you don't know, there were police on either side of the tent, I believe, and police all around. And so they were probably going to nail him. God forbid, but they were going to nail him if he tried to pull out a weapon, which it's obvious he didn't have a weapon. He wasn't planning on doing anything, but this is like some sort of jester troll. I don't know. So here,
My
just
biggest
let it play
dream
through.
to come see you. So I wanted to ask you a quick question real quick.
What are you doing, bro? What are you doing?
My notes. I'm pulling up my notes.
Nah, man, nah. You gotta chill out.
Okay,
You gotta
my
chill
bad,
out, bro.
So
What's
like
wrong with you? Like what?
It's really, really stupid. Hey, buddy, if you're watching this, you're an absolute idiot. Really reckless.
Like what's wrong with you?
Okay,
bro?
no, I was about to ask a question, fam. So like it's about like the Israel conflict. So this is going to lead into my question. For $100, would you be at the back of a human centipede?
Just an idiot. Like an
I don't
absolute
know
idiot.
what you're fucking at.
He's obviously a troll. But it's like that was really reckless. Could have got himself killed, so he obviously didn't have anything. I spoke to my brother about this on the phone because this was crazy. And he was pretty calm. He was very calm about it. He told me he wasn't that concerned because police were everywhere, plus he knew the kid was joking. But it's like even the gesture, you know, it's the gesture of it, rather, sorry, is just reckless, you know. 2026, in the big 26, you're pretending to pull something out of your bag. It's like really not smart at all.
Asking.
A human
I thought that was funny.
centipede. Would you be at the back of a human centipede for $100?
Would you be at the back of human centipede for $100? Like, all right, bro. Anyways, let's go to some of these most watched portions.
What's up?
How you feel about the ICE office opening downtown Columbia? Do you agree with it or?
An ICE office opening here in downtown Columbia?
Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with it. I'm not aware of it, but you know, I guess whatever.
I was just asking, but this is a random question. How do you feel about New York itself, like the drill community?
What?
Like the rappers, the drill community, drill rappers.
Problematic. It's bad music. I used to listen to it myself a little bit. Then I realized, like, damn, this is some degenerate niggatry.
Facts. I should say you got to tap into EBK Cool. Be a good rapper. You got to tap into him.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, look, I don't think
Bro, you have the opportunity to ask this guy any question, bro.
music that glorifies killing others, you know, and it's like real lyrics too. It's not like bullshit from 20 years ago, like, you know, Jay-Z and Nas like beefing. It's like they're legitimately talking about real murders, and these lyrics are being used, you know, in court. So it's just a bad look. Back for her.
I'm curious because your mom, you believe that women play a lesser role in society, but if she didn't exist within society and put forth the effort into making you and having you and carrying you for 9 months, you wouldn't be here. So don't you think you should advocate a little bit more on her behalf for the fact that you are able to live and breathe and bleed today?
Okay, so let's go ahead and go through this because everyone loves to always ask me about my mom. So I'll go ahead and tell you, it was actually my mom that red pilled me on women. She was the one that told me that women are retards and they got to be, you know, you got to make sure that they stay at home, they, you know, be a good wife, they don't be whores, all this other stuff. So it's always interesting to me how women ask me about my mom when I'm like, yeah, it was actually my mom that awared me on this stuff, on the problems with modern Western women and their ideologies and how they behave.
I understand that she might have a big influence on your beliefs today, but I believe a lot of people's parents influence the things that they believe. But I'm not asking you about what she did or didn't make you
literally
believe.
just asked me about it.
Yeah, you
I'm
what?
asking
All right, yeah. Really high IQ girl here.
if you advocate for the fact that she's the reason that you are here and that you can appreciate and see her as a person who carried you and not below you but as an equal because she did help make you. Don't you think that a little bit of that should be appreciated?
Okay, let me give my position here because I don't think you know what my position is when it comes to women. I think from a human perspective, obviously, women are just as valuable as men. Actually, you can make the argument that women are more valuable from a human perspective because they carry the next lineage of human being. However,
that was a cushion for an incoming blow.
when it comes to other things like leadership within a relationship and or decision making, being rationally sound, logic, whatever it may be like that, I think men need to be the leaders, and I think men and women have different roles, and I don't think that we are equal from a utility standpoint in society. Now, when it comes to obviously a human perspective, yes. But when it comes to what men do versus what women do, we're very different.
And why do you believe that they should play a bigger role, men, in society? Why is it that you carry that ideal?
Because women suck at everything that men can do, pretty much.
So
they just do.
My example for that is, at my high school, we had a female valedictorian and a male salutatorian. A female who beat the man. In a same system where everything is based off the same points and the same grades, within that system, somebody was able to be not necessarily better, but surpass a man's abilities. Do you think that that's...
So in one very specific controlled case at my high school that I can't even verify, but it's probably a made-up story, but I'll grant you the fact anyways, just to respond to the argument. There was one girl who did better than one guy in some specific metric, and who knows, it could have been a political win anyways, and they just gave it to her because she's a girl, but I'll still grant that argument. And that makes some sort of substantive claim like, oh, that means women are better. Name me a female inventor. Name me a female genius. There's Isaac Newton. I don't know if there's an Isaac Newton. Let's see what my brother's going to say. I've never seen his response to this.
How would you explain that?
Brings up one super specific scenario like, all right. And these are college kids, right? Poor kids, whatever, I guess. But you should be smarter than that at that age. What is she, maybe 19, 20?
Within your ideology that men are better in such roles.
Yeah. So
and by the way, before my brother responds, watching these is really jarring. You realize how bad people are at debating. Like, one, people can't track. She just failed to track. She said that she didn't say something when she did say it, and my brother responded to that. Then they do these red herrings. They, misrepresent your claim, or they straw man. They respond to something different. And even without all these fancy debate terms, it is pretty alarming. I feel like there is a shortage of intelligent people these days. And I know I'm sitting on my high horse. I'm smart and everybody's dumb. But and I don't mean it that way. But, if you go out into the world and you talk to people and you have discourse or you have discussions or you even go as far as to debate, like in these situations, you quickly come to the realization people don't know how to represent a position. Like, if I want to talk to somebody about something, I'm going to make sure I'm strong in that position. If I want to debate somebody, I'm going to debate them on Israel-Palestine, its inception. 1948, 1967, 1963, 1973. I'm going to debate them on those dates because I know I'm good in those dates. I know I'm good in that history, right? But if somebody's at a college campus and they're talking about I don't know, the world started with a big bang and not in another way, I'm not knowledgeable on that topic, so I'm not going to step up to the table. I don't know why kids why do you want to be a hero? You just end up getting embarrassed and flamed, And this is a topic that requires knowledge. If you want to compare men and women, if you want to do this whole intersexual dynamic conversation, you kind of got to have a brain. You got to understand this stuff, and these girls don't understand it. And a lot of the guys approaching him with political debates don't understand what they're talking about as well. And it's fine. It's like, look, we can have discussions, but you do realize there's a 4K camera aimed at you, right? You do realize this is going to get posted online for millions to watch and see. So you got to come correct, bro. There's a shortage of intelligent kids. There really is. I'm not old enough to know how it was back then, but to me, I feel like there's not enough. There's not enough intellects. There's not enough. And there's smart girls, too. I've met very smart girls. It's not just the guys, but it's there's just a shortage on both ends.
We live in a gynocentric social order, right? And the way that we conduct our education system is based on, sitting still, folding your hands, being compliant, listening to instruction, etc. These are things that are just better for women because women tend to be followers, women tend to be more agreeable, women tend to be more submissive. So the education system is set up to make you a slave, not necessarily to be a critical thinker or entrepreneur, etc. So women do better in situations and environments like this, which is fine. It is what it is. but the education system is absolutely geared towards women. That's why they excel in many different ways. This is why they are starting to dominate, college attendance and to get better grades in some regards.
But that mere fact is that they're better to adapt to that environment. Don't you think that that makes men not less able to play in that role?
No, I just find it interesting that women dominate college attendance. Women, do better in some regards when it comes to standardized testing and sitting and being compliant or whatever. But men still create the world. Men still run all the infrastructure. They build everything. Quite frankly, if we had to rely on female ingenuity, we'd probably still be rubbing sticks together. So, and I'm tired of sitting here and being like, oh yeah, women are equal to us and they're awesome. It's like, no, men built the world. Women just kind of live in it and enjoy it. And we give you guys HR jobs so you can just hang out and whatever it may be. But the reality is men run the world and create the infrastructure that you enjoy.
But don't you think that, well, not that you think, but I believe that a big reason that you say men run the world is because for a really long time, that's the only people who are allowed to run the world. And the world seems to be still clearly running when now women are able to have a say and impact it.
Yeah, I think we need to remove some of that say. I don't think women should have the right to vote. I think we need to repeal the 19th Amendment. A lot of the destructive progressive policies that we've got in place right now were put in because of the female vote, put in because women entered the workforce, put in because of feminism. I think feminism is probably one of the biggest issues that we have.
But clearly women are just as similarly educated. They can do the same things, at least within these realms, legal realms. I do recognize that there are differences between men and women physically and sometimes mentally in the parts where we have different brain chemistry, but we have seen time and time again that women can play these roles.
What the hell?
And
keep going, you're fine.
The same outcome happens regardless.
Say that again?
The same outcome happens regardless of whether a man or a woman is in the role. I'm sure that there are lots of...
I just don't know why she's glossing over the fact women won't do laborious jobs, and that's what creates infrastructure. That's the most basic, and I can make that more complex, but that's just the basic essence of it. That's what he's trying to say, and she's dodging around that.
Woman who helped dictate your...
Look how nice Myron is being, though. Look how sweet he's being. He's not who they say he is. Look at him smiling, being gracious.
Regardless.
Say that again?
The same outcome happens regardless of whether a man or a woman is in the role. I'm sure that there are lots of women who help dictate your everyday life that you are unaware of, and you still seem to be doing just fine.
I'll give an example, right? A woman could do the jobs like a man, but she's not going to be as good in some of those positions as a man. Just because they can do it, right, doesn't mean that it's optimal.
And give me an example of said position and when that happened.
Okay, we can use an example of a female police officer, right? Female police officers, a lot of the times, aren't equipped.
Bruh. If somebody breaks into my house, bro, I don't want a female cop responding. I'm sorry, bro. Somebody has to say that. That's crazy. And I'm pretty sure the entire world would agree with me on that. I don't even think that's controversial. I don't think there's anything even remotely misogynistic about saying that. If something bad happened to me and my life was at danger, there was a physical threat, there was a violent threat that was imminently approaching my life, or already in front of me, I would not want a female cop to respond to that call. I don't want a female cop to really respond to anything. All right, I need a guy. I'm sorry. That's one example that glaringly highlights the difference of how useful and effective a male is versus a female in certain roles. That's not a role that should be available for women, and if it is, it should be limited. That's crazy.
To handle.
And it's the fact that me saying that causes backlash is ridiculous. Is a girl going to run as fast as a guy? If a girl has to tackle some crazy guy in CVS spraying soda on people, I've seen videos like this where guys are knocking aisles down, high on meth, hurting people, attacking people. Is a female officer going to be able to show up, apprehend that suspect, handcuff him, bring him to the ground, tase him, do it effectively without a male counterpart? Is she going to be able to do that? The answer is no. You want to know why? Because the men sometimes struggle with these druggy, crazy addicts who raid stores and businesses. And this stuff happens, especially in major cities, because of the drug abuse we see and because of immigration. I don't want a girl cop responding to that. Are you nuts? And I'm pretty sure a girl cop wouldn't want to respond to that herself. So this is like a
lot of the situation.
Silly. You know, I know my brother brought it up, but like, this is just the fact that that's an argument, because there is debate upon this topic. That's silly to me.
That might come up during the course of their duties. If a partner is injured, they might not necessarily be able to drag them to safety. If a male combatant comes in and attacks them, they might not necessarily be able to subdue that individual to the same degree. You know, and I know that sounds fucked up or whatever, but these are very real biological realities. In the military, they just are not going to be as strong or be able to or capable of doing certain things. And I don't think that us trying to be, let's be equal and let women in and involve them in certain regards, like we're limiting our ability to field the strongest military and or field a strong police and a strong and competent police force for feelings or for equality. Like I think like we need to be very real in some of the situations, understand that women just are not equipped for certain jobs, and or we need to limit it.
Well, I'm going to take your two examples and say that those sorts of jobs require lots of different criteria.
Yeah, keep going, I'm listening.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
That of which you don't have.
Such as, like, police officers, sure, women might not be as physically strong, but that...
No, it's not. See, you're not doing the difference justice. Women may not be as physically strong. No, there is an asinine, outrageously large gap in the physical ability between a man and a woman. Like, asinine. Like a full-grown man and a full-grown woman, the difference is astounding.
That's not the only thing that you need in order to be a police officer. There's a lot of de-escalation within situations. Don't you
Yeah, men are better at that as well, because women respond emotionally.
think that women police officers could help the people, the victims in said situations, through what they are currently having to go through? Also, with the military, there's a lot of people who get injured. And as we know today, that nursing is a field dominated by women. Don't you think that people in the military can also help?
Well, what I was also going to say was they shouldn't be in combat roles. You know, is like if they're there from like logistics or
This girl chose
support,
like a really bad argument.
something like that, that's one thing. But when it comes to like being in the field, well, this is a big reason why that women couldn't join infantry for so long. So I think to field the best police force and or military, etc., you got to keep women out of combat roles or situations where there can be
Bro, we all know, like, I can't believe she has to hear this.
physical contact, because
I don't know
it
how my
just
brother
hurts
doesn't
everybody
crash
else, 'cause
out.
I don't think it's fair to send
Repeating this.
a soldier over or a police officer over with a female partner that isn't going to be as capable of helping him if he gets incapacitated to some degree. Right? Why? So that we can make women feel happy about them being able to be equal. Like, yeah, you could be this too. And then it's like, okay, we're doing this for feelings versus capabilities.
But I also feel like
That's the problem. You feel
You're right.
instead of I think or I know. And that's the issue with the female mindset, is that
He baked her there. He baked her there. He baked her.
Women
That was Cook.
base a lot of their decision making based off of how they feel versus what's real. And that's a very real difference between men and women. And I think it's caused us quite a bit of problems.
I think that the rules can be
You know, look. Because he corrected her by saying, I feel, look how she consciously thought before she spoke again. Look at her.
I think
She was about to say, I feel again, bro.
that the rules can be reversed in a lot of ways in said situations where, especially in combat, where people can be, it can go either way, that a man not be able to drag a woman because
Like, what? Oh, my God. I can't watch this.
the man's too small. What about, do you think that there should be some sort of requirement for weight and size if you're a man and you wanted to join the military? If you fit the criteria of a woman, then you aren't allowed to be
Well,
in
the
the
likelihood
military?
is if the likelihood is the guys.
Yeah, but most men don't look like or are built like women. The average height of a male is much taller than a woman's average height. The average weight of a male is much heavier and larger than that of a woman's. The strength of a male, even if he does not physically train, is much stronger than that of a woman's. I'd actually argue a man who does not even physically train could still overpower a girl who does. Like, what? It's basic biology here. Why are we being silly?
Going to be able to do it a lot better than the female and be able to drag her to safety better than the other way around. But again, I think if we are going to let women in, it's got to be one standard. We can't water it down and give two different standards.
I
Bare
think
minimum. Even though I don't think they should even be in, I think if they do want to get in, it should be one set standard. And if the women can pass it, then maybe let them in. But I don't think we should be weakening our police and our law enforcement and our military for feels. And that's the issue. That's what we've been doing for a very long time.
I think each of those positions is much more nuanced and requires a lot more different types of criteria that you need to meet.
Buzzwords, not making any sort of point.
With helping other people, not just physically, but emotionally as well. I have to go.
Sure, no problem.
But
okay, buzzworded and then left. Is it good for her? She stood up to the mic, so God bless her.
I had a good time debating you, Myron.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Thank you.
A sweet girl.
Good discussion. Yo.
What's up? What's up, Mike?
Dude, that bro pulls up. Shout out to him.
Myron.
What's up, man? Have you seen some of these crazy fucks here?
Yeah. A lot of
That's woman propaganda. I think his name is Hayden McDougal. He does good content on Instagram.
Some of these people look normal. Some people here are fat. Some people probably shouldn't be here at all.
Yep. Weirdos.
Well, they they lowered the standards for college, so there's just a lot of people going to college that should not be going to college. But I have a different kind of question for you.
There's a woman talking that's not in the kitchen. This is crazy.
No, that's...
Is this the fat chick again? Is it her again screaming?
She should be at home raising children. That's crazy. But, Myron, I wanted to ask, because online right now it's very popular to be racist and anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And I noticed that you get in a lot of trouble when you go after women. But...
I already know where he's going. We're going to skip this because we're on YouTube. Okay, let's go to the next guy.
How's it going, Myron?
Yo.
Is this good? Right here?
Yeah.
All right. I have two questions. So I was wondering, like, when you and the Avengers are going to pull up to mog the chuds and foids at 5 points. Just so, like, we all know, you know?
Which Avengers? We got a lot of guys in the Avengers. Who do you want?
Like the one that Clav posted on his Instagram. Like Nick Fuentes, the Tate brothers, whoever was there that night, you know?
You're talking about the niggas
real
against
Avengers.
Talmudic order. Yeah, the NATO, the real nigga NATO.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make it happen one day. I'll next time Andrew's in America and everybody's together, I'll make something happen.
All right, and then my last question is, do these debates spike your cortisol levels?
Bro, it's always spiked, man. It's always going to spike debating these women and, you know, gays and weirdos and libs. It's nuts.
God, I just am so afraid when he's talking. I know he's gonna say some crazy shit.
How do you manage that for other moggers out there?
Go to the gym. Go to the gym. Try to get as much sleep as possible, and that's about it. But yeah, other than that, man, cortisol is always spiked with these people.
All right, thank you, Myron.
Thank you, bro. All right, who's up next? The guy that was flipping me off in the back with the curly hair. Does he want to come up? No? Okay. No, not the black guy. The other dude. The Sideshow Bob guy. Yeah, you. Yeah, the tall one, yeah. Did you want to come up? You had a couple middle fingers or whatever. Yeah, you can go first. Go ahead. What's up? I was trying to figure out why you're flipping me off, but...
Hey, I have a question.
Sure.
Oh, my God.
Do you know who Alex Purdy is?
Yes.
Man shot in Minneapolis by ICE after he was already on the ground and disarmed.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, actually. I don't know if you were here for that one.
No, I just got here.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was a justified shoot.
Why?
Right. Well, sorry, guys. I'm going to go through this again.
Yeah, we've been through this. I don't feel like going through this. I did a whole video on it.
Hello?
All right, still the torta's still mad over there? Okay.
Myron, your sign says ICE did nothing wrong, but I have to disagree with that because I'm not sure that ICE did enough. There's estimated around 15 million illegal immigrants in the United States, and ICE supposedly only got out about 50,000 in Trump's term.
So my question is, okay, I'm assuming this kid's about to say something based. he's gonna get in trouble with his school. No, like this is gonna put a target on his back saying things like this.
And basically now you're pulling the ICE agents out of these sanctuary cities, and you're setting precedent that it's okay to come here illegally and nothing will happen to you. How do we get past that and make sure that that's not the president now?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Them pulling out of Minneapolis, I don't like that either. You know, but I will say that, you know, there needs to be a degree of appreciation for doing enforcement in blue cities and doing interior enforcement. This is something that I've never.
Trump did drop the crime a lot in some major cities. It's negligible in some, but in others it's a bit more noticeable.
Never seen a president do. I worked under the Obama administration, under obviously Trump, Biden, and you know, immigration is a dirty word. It's a catch-22. Like, it's a political hot potato that no one wants to deal with. So Trump coming in, shutting down the border, and then doing enforcement operations in these blue cities that historically have never honored detainers or assisted ICE with anything, it's unprecedented. So I do give him a little bit of charitability from that perspective, but yeah, we need to do more.
Do you think this will lead to even more illegal immigration?
I think it's going to embolden agitators to keep doing what they're doing in the blue cities for sure, yeah. I think them pulling out sets a bad precedent.
Thank you.
No worries, man. What's up?
It's good, Myron. So everyone's been asking you some questions that are definitely divisive. I'm hoping that maybe it could bring some people together with this one. So last year, you know, we saw a lot of people from the
Guys, Myron will be on in like 10 minutes. He's just monologuing right now, but he'll be on in a moment.
left and the right coming together because of the genocide in Gaza. You know, and Israel is just like constant berating of innocent people, as well as like their complete control over our own government. And I forget the guy's name, but he's the CEO. It's a mouthful. He's the CEO of the Conference of Presidents of American Jewish Organizations. He essentially said that he's happy about the ICE stuff because it's starting to pull attention away from Israel. You know, people aren't really seeing the pictures in Gaza as much. People aren't really paying as much attention to what's going on with them. It's taking eyes away from the Epstein files. And I'm wondering what you think we could do to bring people back together like they were last year. You know, obviously there's a lot of people that are divided left and right here, but there's something that should bring us all together. The stuff that we all see in the Epstein files, you know, the child abuse, that's not like a right thing. That's not a left thing. That's a rich politician thing that happened on both sides. So like, how can we bring people back together? And, you know, obviously like the ICE stuff is going to bring us apart.
Yeah, I mean, the Israel situation is unique because I've never once seen people from the far right and people from the far left agree on a topic.
Facts.
But I do think it's important to understand that they agreed on the topic for different reasons. So from the left-wing perspective, it's more of a humanitarian crisis, you know, genocidal apartheid state posing or cosplaying as a democracy. From the right-wing perspective, it's invasion of, you know, our foreign policy, our nationalism, Jewish control of America. So though they both kind of came to the same conclusion, they came to that conclusion through different ways. And I do think it's important to like identify why. But I do think it was good that it is good that we both kind of see eye to eye that support of Israel isn't really in our best interest in the United States. It really doesn't serve us at all. And even you know, Nixon did a famous interview back in like the 90s or 80s where he admitted that like, yeah, Israel's of like no real strategic benefit for us. We only do it for a moral reason. And what that really translates to is a very rich, affluent, and powerful donor class that cares about Israel, which is why, you know, we have the foreign policy that we have. And when you look at like a lot of our Middle Eastern foreign policy, it was basically framed by Jewish Zionists. So, and we're just finding this stuff out now.
Do you think that we're kind of presented with a unique opportunity, though, as we see like
for
people,
sure, for sure,
we should probably focus more on what brings us together rather than the things that pull us apart, you know, in this moment.
For sure.
Goyim unite.
But what I predict is I think there's going to be more censorship on that topic. They just bought TikTok. We're seeing them change community guidelines on certain apps. They're making the term Zionist now protected class. So I predict that censorship is going to ramp back up on this topic. Now that the majority of the Gaza front has been done, you know, they're definitely going to bring up the censorship.
So you think they're gonna start arresting people that are critical of Israel?
They've already started with college students.
I don't know. Wait. Well, I appreciate that. I just
Yeah, no worries,
think
man.
that this is we're in a really divisive time, but we have an opportunity with the Epstein files. You know, the bad laundry has been exposed to essentially everyone, and instead of like focusing on, you know, these, I mean, I'm not going to call them petty or menial, because these, you know, issues do exist. They're real, and they're obviously real to a lot of people. But I think, you know, finding out that a majority of our politicians that run America are all pedophiles that are compromised by Israel, that should allow us to come together and have some sort of common, like, you know, some middle ground.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a problem that you know, needs to be addressed from both sides, because, you know, both of right. What's up?
Myron, do you remember? Damn, hold on. Do you remember me from last time? Or no?
I'll be honest, man, no.
Okay, so I'm gonna just ask you. So
actually, yeah. Okay, yeah. I
okay,
do.
so since the last time we talked, have
Yeah.
you eaten ass?
What kind of, bro?
Oh, have I eaten ass?
Since the last time we talked,
Dude,
have
I
you
don't even
tried
eat. I don't even eat vagina.
Like, why? Like, you got to. It's a thing.
All right, so I'll tell you guys why. So number one, Valentine's Day is for simps, and then number two, the reason why you should never eat vagina is because women are inferior to men. So what ends up happening if you eat vagina is you show that through sexuality. Women want a guy who is dominant, masculine, and assertive. You look like a bitch when you lick vagina.
Okay, why do you think Valentine's Day is for simps?
Sorry, guys.
Because the majority of men that participate in Valentine's Day and give women gifts and do all the simpy
Okay.
shit, that woman hasn't earned that.
So you're saying like through her actions, but you couldn't know that though. Like in their relationship, you couldn't know what she has done to deserve.
You could tell right away whenever you look at a couple or you see how a woman speaks to a guy or how she speaks about her guy. Most guys are simps, and most guys like let their girl be the boss and make the decisions, and they follow what their girlfriend or their boss says. Like that's all a bunch of faggotry, and guys need to like start like grabbing.
How is Uncensored America making money on these videos? Anyways, guys, bear with me. I'm just making the thumbnail for this video, and then Myron's about to jump on.
They're nuts, telling women to shut up, telling them this is what we're gonna do. I'm planning this. I'm planning that. You need to obey me and submit to me, and kind of go off of that. But the problem is that, you know, a lot of guys are simps and don't want to stand up to women because they want to get laid, and they don't realize that that's actually extremely counterproductive to getting laid.
Okay, so like you don't believe in like 50-50 in a relationship?
No, I believe in a dictatorship. You run it, and then
Yeah, what? 50-50 in what sense, though? See, this is what plagues our community. This is what plagues the black community. What are you talking about 50-50, bro? You're talking about eating ass, 50-50. L, bro. This is why we're struggling as a race, as a people. What are you talking about?
maybe listen to her every now and then.
Okay. I got another question for you.
And you know what's funny? And for all the young guys here, that's precisely what they want, by the way. They'll never admit that, right? But women want a guy who's dominant, assertive, masculine, and is a leader. You know, this whole concept of egalitarianism and 50-50, it's a fucking Jewish lie. Women don't want that. They'll sit there and tell you that they want that, but what they'd really prefer is for you to be like, hey, we're going to do this. Well, I think, shut up. We're going to do this. Oh, my God, that turns me on. Why do you think women want assholes? Why do you guys think women look for traits in a guy that
Nice guys finish last.
signifies strength and competency? Like, this whole nice guy thing is a lie. Women aren't really attracted to progressive liberal men. They might say that, but what women say and how they respond are two different things.
Okay. So my next question is, do you suck toes?
No, I don't.
All right, bro. I don't have time for this low IQ slop. Come on, bro. Silly questions. What is...
You.
How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I guess I wanted to talk about, like, currently right now, like, with my stance of Trump, I felt like he has correctly pointed out that there are issues within America right now, but I just felt he's taken the wrong steps or has taken steps in the right direction, but has then, like, overstepped to turn it into the wrong solution so far. Like an example,
Okay.
I'll bring an example. Like the first, I think, least controversial example of this was in Hawaii. He passed a bill to allow the natives to fish in their like natural or historical fishing ground, because for a long time it was a fishing reserve, making no one allowed, including the natives, allowed to fish in that area. And in doing so, he then also opened it up to commercial fishing. And I think that's like a first example of just kind of like he did the right thing, but didn't have to add that extra bit.
Okay. I mean, I think you're never going to be fully satisfied with a president, right? Like there's why like if if you're I look at it like if you agree with half the policies, that's kind of a W. Yeah, I mean that's a very random topic, but yeah, I can see your perspective. You're saying like, look, you agree with him that he's identified problems, but maybe not the solution for these problems.
Correct. Yeah.
All right.
And then the next one, I felt where I don't disagree with the idea that NATO is set up in such a way where it puts the unnecessary burden onto America to also defend Europe. And then, however,
it's just crazy. Like, these kids are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars, presumably, especially if they're from a state outside of Florida, or this is South Carolina. I apologize, a state outside of South Carolina, to attend this college and gain an education and actually pursue a degree and a profession eventually. And you would think that demographic or class of people, although these are still developing young adults, right? Many of them being anywhere from 18. If you have a late birthday, you can be a freshman as an 18-year-old, or even 17 rather, all the way up until, maybe 23, 22. You would think in that broad spectrum of people chasing an education, there's some sort of shiners. And in all of these Uncensored America debates that I've listened to, and I've listened to them extensively, there has been the most minute handful of kids that actually pose like a solid argument. And I don't mean to like knock this guy, right? But it's just like, what's the greater purpose here? What's the conversation? What's your stance? I get it, they're young, but it's like they don't have an ability to articulate their thoughts effectively, communicate. That's like a dead skill. It like doesn't exist anymore. It's unbelievable. So sometimes these things are just like really demoralizing to listen to, because it shows you, because my brother's going to these campuses, and it was the same thing with Charlie Kirk. The only clips, guys, remember, the only clips that went viral of Charlie Kirk were the kids that actually knew how to speak. If you actually watch his entire streams full on, or the entirety of his college debates and when he was going around the country, a lot of it was this, just nonsensical, really stupid questions, horrible arguments, and even the ones that were smarter still got fried and burned. And of course, Kirk was a great debater, and he brought these kids through scripts that he always spoke through in regards to defending Israel or anything like that. And so it was systematic, I understand, but there is definitely something to be said about the lack of IQ in our colleges across the nation. Now, maybe these aren't Ivy League schools, so maybe Myron's got to go to Cornell or something. I don't know, but it's remarkable to see how dumb some of these kids are. Maybe we've got to go to Yale or Harvard.
His idea that thou were owed
Those are private schools, though, so probably wouldn't happen.
Greenland, creating unnecessary internal conflict within.
I think at the end of the day, and I said this before, cognitive function, cognitive ability, being able to articulate your thought, quick to respond, that's not the biggest indicator of IQ. It really isn't. Well, not cognitive ability, obviously, but being able to articulate your thought effectively, be a good communicator, quick to respond, things like that, have a rebut ready without even thinking about it beforehand. Like, all of that is really evident of high IQ, but there's some people who can't do that who are still very intelligent. So I'm not saying that's the only metric, but it's like, bro, you're stepping up to the mic for a reason, So if you're not good at those things, why would you step up to the mic? It's like, I don't know if anyone else notices that, like, these are college kids. This is our future. It's pretty alarming how dumb they are.
NATO, I felt that could have been done better. Just different ways that could have been done for that.
Yeah, Trump exercises something called brinksmanship, which is, for those that are unaware, is like very volatile, taking deals to the edge type diplomacy/foreign policy.
That's what he did in Iran before the war started, by the way.
And it rubs a lot of people the wrong way. And yeah, I don't agree with Greenland either. And I also don't like the Venezuela situation, but it is what it is.
Okay, that's fair. And then I think that was one of the next ones was Venezuela. I felt it was just completely.
And
I don't like Maduro. I don't think we should send him back. I definitely didn't agree with what happened in Portland where they were saying free Maduro, but I felt that was just an egregious overreach that has implications as what's stopping China from doing the same thing in Taiwan. And then also same thing with Russia's already doing Ukraine, but what's stopping him from doing it in the Baltics, and Belarus, and Finland as well?
Yeah, no, I
Those are good questions.
agree. Us invading Venezuela,
Or good points he's making, good observations.
we've lost all the, moral high ground that we used to, yell at the Russians and the Chinese to stay away from Taiwan. It's like, I'm not a fan of intervention. I'm really not. But I know why he did it.
We're going to talk about that today with Cuba. If we get time. If not, next stream for sure.
Venezuela's challenging the dollar system and, aligning themselves with BRICS. But I do think that it's going to come back to bite us in the ass later.
And then kind of another point why I think I guess you already disagreed with me. Actually, you already disagreed with the Greenland part. I'm not going to argue on that. But I think the last part was the biggest example, I think most controversial of where I felt he's just gone too far is ICE itself. I don't disagree with the idea that Biden's open border policy was a travesty, allowing millions of illegal immigrants into the United States. However, I think his steps with ICE, creating or at least putting more money into the department, I thought was kind of fine. I definitely didn't entirely agree with that, but I think ICE is taking it too far, especially with examples like Minnesota, arresting people without warrants, and then also on top of that, not having due process for the illegal immigrants or potential illegal immigrants.
Well, you got to understand that the immigration system is completely different from a traditional criminal justice system. If they got an order of deportation from an immigration judge, there is no due process. You're just going to get deported. You've already been ordered removed by a judge.
Without due process, how do you know they are to be deported? Or where is the verification that they are an illegal immigrant?
Where's the verification?
Like
they don't have status.
I know, but is that not the point of due process to verify if they are an illegal immigrant or not?
Immigration is far more black and white. What if you don't have status, you get removed.
But how do they know they don't have status is my concern.
Well, there's a multitude of different databases, immigration databases that will, identify if someone has status, whether they're here on a visa,
He did this for his profession, by the way, so it's like this is ironclad for him.
Immigrant, or they're, here on a green card, or they're a U.S. citizen.
Yo, my stream can hear you. You ready?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, bet. I'll call you on Discord.
I called you.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just staying there. I'm joining now. Okay, let's get Myron in here. Let's get Big Bro in here. Yo. What's going on? You're very loud on my end, but I can fix it. Can you talk really quick? You might have to turn it down on your end, which you always do to fix it.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here. You know what? I think I bring it down here. Okay. Then bring that up. Okay. How does that sound? Are we good on that? On
Perfect.
Right there. Okay. Okay. So SOU. I'm just reading my chat, so we'll get into it.
Go ahead.
Says my friend from Rhode Island asked me for $400 because he was having car issues. He was telling me not even his brother that he buys diapers for wanted to help him out. I sent it right away. I told him, don't even worry about it. Reminded me of that story you said about your uncle. Made me very proud of myself. Yeah, man. That's why you got to have your money on point, bro, to help those that you love and care about. So that's very nice of you to give him, basically lend him that money without him having to pay you back. Got that with the Bible. I had a Jew friend. He once paid for his girlfriend's college tuition, $30K spent on that 3 or 4, but she still left his ass. If you open your eyes, the BS with women is all over the place. Yeah, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, putting your girl through school is retarded, by the way. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Bro, do not put your girl through college, bro. Fucking retarded. It's fucking the dumbest thing you can do. Afghan subscribe, shout out to you, bro. Penetrator, if that Asian dude, if I was that Asian dude, I'm definitely visiting a Forest Logan. No, dude, chill, man. That story was red pills, fuck all red pills. Yep. JT says, crazy, something similar happened to Jason the Ween. Iconic Mystery says, in the Bible, wives, submit yourselves for your husbands as to our Lord. Yeah, bro. The Bible and the Quran knows about female fuckery. My boy keeps keeping it real. My guy, Puerto Rican here. Fuck the loans, but they did feed these clowns. Yep, they did. O/ says, do you think the U.S. will win a third world war? Talk about that. Hey, Myron, off topic, if Trump gets it. Okay, I think we're caught up with the chats. Takemi says, what's up, Myron? Welcome back. What are your thoughts on the IED device that was thrown yesterday? Yeah, I saw that with Jake Lang. My brother talked about that. I'll let him talk about that. I hate when girls say I need to find myself. Yeah, but yeah, when a girl says she needs to find herself, it's time to be a whore. See Shannon Sharp cook Clarissa Shields for saying she can beat up a world champ boxer, Raleigh Romero. No, I didn't see that, but you know, a lot of these women are fucking delusional, bro. Okay, yo, Riyadh, you there? This nigga got the fucking red screen going. What the hell? Yo, let me call this fucking guy.
Yo, I'm here. Just getting water.
Oh, okay. Okay, you're just turning your camera off?
Yeah.
All right.
All right. You got the stuff queued up, or do you want me to pull it up?
Pull it up on your side.
All right. Okay.
While you pulling up?
We were just reacting to your Uncensored America debates on USC. Go ahead.
Okay. Nice. While you do that, let me go ahead and show them, because I have give me 1 sec here. Give me 1 sec. I'm gonna share the past 24 hours with the conflict.
Okay, go ahead.
So
and then I have the Rockchi video ready.
Okay. Oh, you do? Okay, that's the first thing we'll react to? Cool.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
Okay. Give me 1 sec, chat. So I'm gonna go ahead and screen share for you ninjas. What I'm gonna show you guys here is a summary of the past 24 hours or so of the conflict. So okay, it goes here. You guys can see. Okay, you guys got me. All right. War in Iran. So here's the past day 8 recap. Iranian attacks on Israel have slowed to 1 or 2 ballistic missiles per wave and only a few attacks per day, while attacks on Gulf states continue and are increasingly targeting oil infrastructure. Hezbollah is consistently attacking IDF forces built up on the Lebanon border in northern Israel, averaging a red alert almost every hour in the last 24 hours. The NYP announced the death of another U.S. serviceman member in Kuwait due to a medical episode. The IDF has announced 2 more soldiers were injured near southern Lebanon. 7 Houthi drones were launched from Yemen towards the Sheba oil field in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia has warned Iran that if Iran continues to attack the kingdom and its energy infrastructure, Riyadh would be pushed to respond. The Israeli Home Front Command announces it can no longer guarantee it will send alerts for missiles before siren sound. Oh, you guys want to know why that is? Because the Iranians destroyed their radars. That's why. FYI. That's why they can't guarantee that they're going to notify them ahead of time, guys. Because radars, the whole concept of radars is giving the Israelis the time and the ability, the latitude, really.
The heads up.
The heads up to be able to respond timely. That's what radars are for, and that's what missile warfare is. It's basically a race against time to shoot the missiles down and intercept them, right? That's why speed, when it comes to these hypersonic missiles and missiles in general, is so imperative. So that's a big deal. Kuwait has announced it is reducing oil production and refining throughout due to Iranian attacks. Israeli Channel 12 reports that Mojtaba Khamenei's son, was injured in an attempted assassination strike by Israel, but is still alive. And just so you guys know, Israel Channel 12 is basically Netanyahu's propaganda channel, FYI. Over 450,000 Lebanese citizens have been displaced due to Israeli attacks and evacuation orders. And then finally, Iran has continued to deny access to the Strait of Hormuz, striking another vessel, bringing its total ships attacked to 9. So, Trump sit there and said, "Oh yeah, the Navy will guide you guys, bro." That nigga cannot secure he cannot guarantee your security in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, go ahead, Riyadh. What do you? I'll turn it over to you, man. But that's the past 24 hours.
Yeah, no, I thought that was comedic. I laughed at that yesterday when I was going live on that, and I covered it briefly in regards to the Strait of Hormuz and this insurance policy that's being offered, as if some normal guy whose job is to man a ship or run a ship across this 20-mile passageway with crazy Shia Muslims on either end, ready to bomb the shit out of him, is going to say, "Oh, thanks, Trump. You know what? Now I'm going to, just export all this oil out of this tight passageway. I don't think anything will happen to me." So I thought that was really funny. But let's spin over to this. You should be able to see my screen. So we spoke about this yesterday.
I got it on the big screen right now.
Perfect. So you can watch this, but this is the foreign minister of Iran. His name is Abbas Araghchi, and he was talking to an NBC correspondent in regards to the whole boots on ground possibility. So we'll just take a listen and then we'll respond to it.
Boots on the
Yep.
Oh, let me just do pop out. Sorry. Okay.
And just so you guys know, this is the dude that was doing the negotiations with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner.
Yep.
He was the one that was doing the negotiation.
Sorry, that may be.
No, you're good. You're good. Sorry.
No, just turn on the
invasion in your country.
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
So you're saying that Iran is ready and willing to take on the U.S. military if there were to be ground troops?
Well, we were ready for this war even more than the previous war. So you can see, the quality of our missiles, how much they are upgraded after the last war, because we learned lots of lessons. And we are prepared for any other eventuality, even, a ground invasion. So our soldiers are prepared for any scenario. When I said that we are waiting for them, it didn't mean that we are waiting for continuation of the war. No, but we have prepared ourselves to confront with any scenario, with any eventuality, any possibility, and we know that we can handle that.
Yeah, not words you want to hear from a country you're currently invading and claiming to be beating.
Are your allies Russia and China helping you?
Yes.
Well, they are supporting us politically and otherwise.
Intel.
Yep. So if you guys haven't heard, there's been a report. I think you may have just read it. I don't know. My bad if you did. But Russia's been giving Iran some guidance as to where U.S. assets are in the region, as well as giving them, which indirectly kind of makes the implication that they're telling them where to strike. So Russia's been giving them that intel in the back end, and then obviously we know China supports them with physical military munition. But yeah, that's his statement in regards to the boots on ground war, which, by the way, is imminent. We're vindicated in saying that this was going to happen. So for all the dumbasses who swore up and down that this was going to be 4 or 5 days, and they hopped out into the Pete Hegseth train and said, we're winning and we destroyed a multitude or a majority of their carriers. Well, you probably feel really stupid at this point in time, because it's seeming like the Pentagon and 100 intelligence assets had met in Florida, and they're pretty much coming to the conclusion now that this is going to be at least 100 days, as well as the fact that Iran is saying they want to stretch this war out until November and make Trump feel it during the midterms. But go ahead. What were your thoughts on that? I thought that was we spoke about it on the phone yesterday.
Let's play that one more. Play it one more time, and I want you guys to see this guy's
Boots
reaction.
on the ground in Iran. Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You were waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
Pause.
So you're
now the reason why I'm so confident, guys, okay, is because if you guys understand Iran, right? It's almost impenetrable, okay? And I'll tell you guys why. So if you look here, okay, Iran is insulated, okay, and it's insulated because if you look here, it has the northern Alborz and the western southwest Zagros, right? So if you look at Iran on a map, the Zagros Mountains right here to the west, right? Saddam Hussein tried to come in through this way, and it was a nightmare, okay? Almost impenetrable. So it has a lot of natural reinforcements that make it extremely difficult to invade. There's a reason why Iran's been able to exist as a Persia's been able to exist for 2,500 plus years, right? So here, so you got the Zagros Mountains that pretty much go all along this way, right? And then over here with the Caspian Sea, there's also another mountain range here where it's damn near impossible to penetrate. So getting ground troops in is going to be very difficult because they're going to have to deal with a competent military who's going to be set up in the mountains. To put things in perspective for you guys, when we went into Afghanistan, right, which was a smaller country with similar mountain ranges, it was extremely difficult for us to make anything happen. And this was against like ragtag militia motherfuckers that are goat herders, right? And they still had a significant advantage. And guess what happened? Over 20 years, we had to leave, and the Taliban took back over.
Yeah, 100%.
With Iran, this is a bigger country with less forgiving environment. And on top of that, all their major cities are insulated by mountains. Okay?
Yeah.
So this would be a nightmare situation to invade on the ground. There's a reason why the foreign minister smiled like that and smirked, because he understands that in a ground assault, the Iranians would have the high ground and we would have mass casualties. This is why even the Kurds backed out. Do we have the clip of Trump saying that the Kurds are not going to go?
I don't have the clip, but I did have a statement from the leader of the Kurdish forces saying that he's not going to get involved in this war, and for good reason. Although I can find Trump's statement here. Give me one moment. But something that I thought...
it was on audio at the White House.
Let's see. Trump.
I think the White House posted it. It might have been only audio. But yeah, these mountains guys are fucking literally
here we go. We have it here.
Mountains.
Let's take a listen.
All right, go ahead.
Syria and Iraq. Iranians are concerned that the Kurds will carve out kind of an autonomous region as they did in Syria and Iraq.
We're not looking to the Kurds going in. We're very friendly with the Kurds, as you know, but we don't want to make the war any more complex than it already is. No. You've ruled that out? We don't want, yeah, I have ruled it out. I don't want the Kurds going in. I don't want to see the Kurds get hurt, get killed. We've had a good relationship. They're willing.
And
he knows why.
Yeah.
He knows why he doesn't want. They're going to get absolutely fucking flamed.
Yeah. And this is Trump's this is his thing. Every single time the U.S. is in some sort of compromised position or we lose in some small way, maybe not a way that's big in the grand scheme of things, but we lose in this way because we can't weaponize the Kurds like we have done previously, as well as Israel, to do their bidding in the region. And, the Kurds are not happy about this. I know many Kurds that don't like the fact that Kurdish forces are a part of that. But this is to make a greater point. This is the same thing that Trump did with the school. He was asked on Air Force One, I believe it was yesterday, and I pulled that clip up as well, about the schoolgirls being killed, about 147 people confirmed killed, or 170 plus actually I'm seeing now, in that strike in the first couple days in the war last Saturday. So it's about a week now. And Trump says, we didn't do it, Iran did it. They're not accurate with their munitions, which if you have half a brain and you've been following this war, Iran is actually decently accurate with their munitions, okay? They don't have the military capability of the United States. They don't have the technology we have, but that doesn't mean they're going to strike their own people to make it seem like we have to go to war even harder. The entire country already understands.
And it's confirmed Tomahawk missiles. Only the U.S. uses those.
Yeah.
So it was confirmed that they try to lie and say it wasn't, but it's 100% confirmed now at this point that we did in fact murder almost 170 children.
Yeah.
Little girls.
Yep. Yeah, which is ridiculous, and that's what we did in hopefully targeting one or two military officials, which what difference is that going to make? We've seen it's make no difference at this point. But you can see in Trump trying to clean up his act, Pete Hegseth in the back goes, well, it's still investigating. We're not sure. We'll confirm it. And so Pete Hegseth was a little bit more reluctant or less reluctant to comment on it. But the whole point as to why that was BS is because Iran does not need justification for the IRGC to go to war with the United States or defend themselves. They understand that they've been under a lot of scrutiny and pressure from Israel and the U.S. for several years. So they don't need to kill 170 of their own people and rally up some sort of kill count and blame it on Israel, the United States, and say, see, we need to go to war. So that doesn't make any sense. They don't need to call some false flag on their people like we've done several times to justify a war that doesn't make sense. Furthermore, here with the Kurds, you see Trump doing damage control. It's not that he doesn't want any Kurds to get hurt or killed, as he said in quotes. Rather, the Kurds don't actually want to do this war. They don't want to fight. They don't want to invade on ground. Why? Because of what my brother was just talking about. Iran is fortified by mountains. The terrain is harsh. We saw what happened in Afghanistan. And the Taliban and Afghanistan people or Afghani people have this saying where the United States had lost their only war, and that was the war in Afghanistan, because we did try to infiltrate, and we didn't really make much of a dent in that region. And we lost so many troops in the process over that 20-year war or 15-year war. So it's going to be, unfortunately, a very similar set of circumstances in Iran unless we introduce some sort of mass bombing campaign, carpet bombing campaign like you saw in Gaza, or we use tactical nukes or nukes for that matter, which is starting to now reach the surface of the conversation and be spoke about. So it's just kind of one of Trump's coping mechanisms. We're not going to use the Kurds. The Kurds I don't want to see them get killed. They're good people. They've helped us a lot. No, it's not that you don't want to use the Kurds. The Kurds don't want to fight this war because the IRGC has 200,000 plus armed crazy Shia men ready to murk everybody who steps on their land. That's why. And these guys, I can bet your ass, or you can bet your ass rather, they have these bases underground where they're building these missiles and building these high ballistic weapons, very fortified. They're not going to let anybody just step up and try and impose themselves on their own land. This is a defensive war for them. So imagine them to be charged up, especially with the fact that they're so much more armed and capable and technologically advanced to that of the Taliban. They don't have AK-47s and, you know, strap of bullets across their chest and, you know, some shitty ass uniform. No, these are like legitimate military capable ready soldiers. Yeah, they're a real military. So it's a different situation here, and the Kurds can already smell what's cooking.
It's a country that has real infrastructure. It's a country that has a real military. It's a country that has real, you know, capabilities. Like, it'll be a bloodbath. So like the Kurd, and the other thing too, you guys got to understand is like a lot of the Kurds get along with the Iranians because they have full sovereignty. They have a citizenship. They're not treated that badly. Obviously, you're going to have different groups of them that have issues, but in general, they've been able to exist pretty well within Iran. You know, they don't have the same level of sectarian issues like Assyria does, right?
Yeah.
So so they're not going to rock the boat and fuck it up for themselves. You know, it's just not worth it. Like, we're going to go ahead and just literally commit suicide walking in here. And the Kurds in Iraq especially have worked really hard to have what they have. They have some level of infrastructure now. So it's like they don't want to sit here and like go to war and destroy everything they have and get killed again. And they also know deep down they're fighting for the Americans and they're not going to get any benefit for fighting for the Americans. How many times have we left the Kurds out to dry? You know? So did you want to cover the Pete Hegseth thing next?
Yeah, we can pull that up. And it just gets them condemnation from the entire Arab Muslim world when they do their bidding anyway. So it's just a lose-lose for them. And they finally realized that. And so Trump is trying to make it seem as if though he doesn't want to weaponize them, but they don't want to weaponize themselves for the greater interests of the West. And I think that's kind of like a chink in the armor of the West. They'll no longer fight for us. But let's see what Pete Hegseth said.
Yeah, real quick. I got to read something real fast. Riyadh, let me just do a quick little, I'll do a quick little, quick word from the ninjas over at Rumble. So, as you guys know, shout out to Rumble Wallet, just came out recently, okay? They can freeze your account, shut off your cards, lock you out your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you, they control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a non-custodial wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own the Tether Gold, real gold on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't proper gold, or actually, this isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. It's real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it in 24 hours. Or actually, you can buy, sell, move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold could be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. So, guys, especially with what we got going on right now with all these conflicts, man, and we see the price of gold going up and everything else like that, and, you know, trust in currency, fiat currency going down, you know, you want to have different avenues to deploy currency. But anyway, back to the show. We have a clip here that we're going to break down with Pete Hegseth. That's very important that we want to kind of break down with you guys.
So in this one, this was from about 4 days ago. He says the United States is winning without mercy. Is this the one that you wanted to react to, or did you have a different one?
I think this is the one that we discussed on the phone, right? Isn't this the one that we discussed?
We'll take a listen, but he did. I think he did discuss the missiles. So let's see.
Well, good morning. I stand before you today with one unmistakable message about Operation Epic Fury. America is winning, decisively, devastatingly, and without mercy. And as President Trump said, more and larger waves are coming. We are just getting started. We are accelerating, not decelerating. Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today.
All right, pause.
And now
it's very important that you guys understand, right? Because for a moron, they're looking at this and they're saying, this is awesome. We're winning the war. We're destroying them. We have more capabilities. They're losing capabilities, etc. And if you fall into this lie, right? Or if you fall into this what I call like a sleepwalk fucking tendency that they're going to try to put you in, or this hypnosis they're going to try to put you in, what the government is going to try to do is tell you this. We're destroying them militarily. We're destroying them physically. We're destroying their infrastructure. We're destroying their capabilities. and we are winning the war. But what they don't realize is Iran's not fighting a military war, okay? They're using military assets. They're using military power, military intelligence, but the United States is fighting a military war. The Iranians are fighting an asymmetric war, an economic war, a political war, okay? An energy war. So the metric by which the United States is evaluating their success is not the proper metric to evaluate this war. I'm going to say that again. The metric that the United States is evaluating this war, at least publicly, right, because they're hoping that you don't know better, is not the metric that the Iranians are weighing this war, okay? For the United States, they're going to have an enormous show of force, bombing the hell out of Iran, destroying capabilities, and to them, they're saying that's the W. But what they're not telling you is, as each day passes and they destroy more infrastructure, gas prices go up, energy prices go up, the Strait of Hormuz stays closed, the Gulf states are being destroyed. We're losing the ability to project power in the Middle East. We're losing credibility in the Middle East because we can't protect our allies who we promised we would protect, who we swore to protect, who the only reason they allow us to have military bases in their region is to protect. They're not telling you any of this. They're just telling you we're bombing these guys into the Stone Age. Well, bombing them into the Stone Age is kind of a foregone conclusion. We knew you were going to do that. And worse yet, the Iranians knew you were going to do that. They've been watching you for 40 years. They've seen you systemically bomb the fuck out of Saddam Hussein. They saw you guys destroy his capabilities. Gaddafi watched you destroy his capabilities. He gave up his nuclear program, tried to play the game, got killed anyway. Saddam Hussein got bombed to fucking hell and was captured and hung on TV. We watched the fall of Syria after a decade plus of civil war and sectarian violence all over the place and the destruction of Hezbollah or the disruption of Hezbollah, they were overtaken. So the Iranians have been preparing for this for a very long time, and they understood that America's biggest weapon is air power. So how do you get around air power? You get around air power by building an infrastructure below ground. And this is what they've been doing since 2003. 20 plus years they've been ready for this. Well, they've been ready for this for 40, but they've really been preparing over the last 2 decades with having all of their stuff well underground with super reinforced concrete that even our bunker busters can't bust sometimes. This is why, right now as we speak, Trump and the Israelis are contemplating using a tactical nuclear weapon, chat. It's coming. A tactical nuclear weapon is in the fucking cards, chat. And I wish I was fucking lying. I wish I was just being hyperbolic. But I've heard now from multiple credible sources that a nuclear bomb is on the fucking table. And the reason why there's a nuclear bomb on the table is because Trump is running out of options. We really have only 3 options in this situation. It's either A, we pull out and lose a lot of political power and look bad in front of the world. B, we bomb them, we nuke them, and there's not really a C. It's hell. Even the third one doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, we could introduce the idea of boots. Look, what Pete?
Or boots on the ground. Yeah, sorry. That's the third option. Boots on the ground.
That would
which
be the
is
third one.
Suicide.
But that one is not only suicide physically for our soldiers, but it's political suicide for Donald Trump, it's going to continue to perpetuate his losing approval rating or his downward spiraling approval rating from when he pulled people out of Minneapolis or the ICE agents out of Minneapolis to this. Now it's just culminating this entire loss for Trump and his promise in his campaign in 2024. And so what you notice here, and we'll let the video play, but I want to comment quickly because my brother makes some good points. Pete Hegseth is trying to propagate this idea that we've completely destroyed all of their capabilities in terms of them being able to launch these missiles, or we're nearing the end of it when that's not evident. They're still bombing the hell out of the region. They said that they were going to lay off on the Gulf countries. Trump kind of called their bluff and said, look, they're scared, and then they kept going on the Gulf countries. So not only...
that social post so they see it. So
right
this
here.
is very important. So guys, this was what, like 2 days ago? So yeah. Trump said, right, Iran, which is being beat to hell, has apologized and surrendered to its Middle East neighbors and promised that it will not shoot at them anymore. This promise was only made because of the relentless U.S. and Israeli attack. They were looking to take over and rule the Middle East. It is the first time that Iran has ever lost in thousands of years to surrounding Middle Eastern countries. They have said, thank you, President Trump. I have said, you're welcome. Iran is no longer the bully of the Middle East. They are instead the loser of the Middle East and will be for many decades until they surrender or, more likely, completely collapse. Today, Iran will be hit very hard under serious consideration of complete destruction and certain death because of Iran's bad behavior are areas and groups of people that are not considered for targeting up until this moment in time. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald Trump. And he said this, guys, on the heel of a video. Can we pull that video up real quick, Riyadh? You can pull it up on your screen. Hegseth, the video, right? The president of Iran, this guy right here. Well, I'll share it on screen for you guys real fast. While he pulls up the video, I'll show you guys who we're referring to here. Because you guys are probably wondering, wait, Iran has a president? Yeah, they have a president. And they also have a supreme leader. And the current president is this guy, Masoud.
Masoud Pezeshkian.
I'm going to share it with you guys right now.
And which statement did you want me to pull up?
The statement he made about the Middle East, about them bombing the Middle East. Here he is right here, guys. Okay, this is the current president of Iran, right? He put out a statement, I think yesterday or the day before, right, talking about how they've been attacking the Middle East, etc., and like letting them know, like, look, we're attacking you guys because you guys house U.S. bases, and these bases are being utilized to attack Iran and plan attacks against Iran, and they've been used to attack Iran for a very long time. So I think he gave, if I'm not mistaken, he gave the announcement, and obviously in Farsi.
Right
we can go ahead and react to it, some of it. So yeah, awesome. Go ahead. You could play it.
So I'll translate for you guys. So it says,
go ahead.
Iran's president apologizes to neighboring countries.
I need to apologize on
perfect. They did it for us.
behalf of myself to our neighboring countries that have come under attack by Iran. Because of the vicious assault on us, we lost our supreme leader, our compatriots and loved ones. Our armed forces, when their commanders were gone, conducted the operations that were necessary and protected our country with strength. We do not intend to conduct an assault on neighboring countries. And like I've said before, they are our brothers. We have to be hand in hand with our brothers in peace. And the Interim Council approved a decision yesterday. That decision was relayed to our forces that they should no longer attack neighboring countries unless there is an attack on Iran staged on their soil.
And the reason for that is because he got what he wanted out of that attack for the 4 or 5 days that he was doing it. He got what he wanted. He pitted these countries against the United States. He hurt their relations. He exposed the weakness. He exposed the hierarchy of United States air defense prioritization by them defending Israel over these other countries. So he got what he wanted. Now he's pulled out. And then Trump responded with that statement on Truth Social, which seemed to charge them up because they're still hitting Gulf countries. But go ahead.
Yeah, no, because, and I was going to say, so the president makes that statement. Trump takes that opportunity to put out that stupid Truth Social post. And then what do they do after? They continue to bomb the fucking Gulf states, bro.
Yeah.
So I think, and we can only, we can really only speculate here. But I think that the Iranians had intentions of dropping or stopping the bombing. But Trump saying that dumb shit, they said, okay, you want to play that game? We're going to continue to hit strategic locations in the Gulf. And they kept hitting strategic locations in the Gulf. They kept bombing the UAE, kept bombing Kuwait. Boom, there we go. My brother showed you guys some footage right now. So was that in Kuwait?
This is in Dubai, the Marina Tower.
Oh, yes, this was yesterday.
This was yesterday, yeah. And I reacted to some of this on stream. Also, Dubai International Airport. And again, look, a lot of these strikes are more so symbolic than anything else because it doesn't seem like they're actually killing a lot of people. And that's a good thing, of course. And I don't think that's Iran's primary goal. Although if they kill somebody, I don't think they'd care at the end of the day. They're not the most moral people in the world. But this is to show we can continue to invoke harm. We can continue to drive away your tourism. We continue to make you look optically bad. And we can expose the fact that the United States can't even defend you from our drones, let alone our ballistic missiles. So take a look at this. This is a drone hitting, I believe, a road right outside of the airport in Dubai.
It's coming to the airport again. Yeah, Allah. Yeah, Allah, straight to the airport. Oh my God.
God damn, bro.
Yo, they're gonna, I guess, I guess these niggas got the remix, Boom Boom UAE. Yo.
Yeah, bro. Really bad. Really bad. Sorry. Really
Holy
bad. So, I mean, it is what it is. You know, they're going to continue to do that. And I think Trump's post, like right here, he's saying they're the big bully of the Middle East and, you know, they're a loser and this and that. So I would imagine this charge up to IRGC and said, okay, you know what? Trump doesn't want to watch his mouth. He wants to keep talking recklessly. We're going to keep making these neighboring cultures or countries pay for the moral hazard that Israel poses, which is, and this is a very intelligent thing they're doing here. They're not just hitting these countries because they want to attack them and they're evil. Sure, I suppose you can make that argument. But the greater point here is to expose this axis of weakness, which is the fact that one country is prioritized over the others, as well as the fact that having U.S. bases or U.S. assets in your country poses a threat and a risk and is a hazard, and it's not worth it. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, and after Trump put out that fucking announcement, the IRGC put an announcement saying that we're going to continue to hit the Gulf.
Yep.
And hit strategic locations. So, like, you know, they basically said it like, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna continue attacking you guys. And I don't think Trump helped the situation by saying that, right? He put a battery in their back and they said, oh, okay, you want to play that game? And they hit him again. So, you know, see, obviously when you have a war, both sides are going to put out propaganda. Both sides are going to try to say we're winning. Both sides are going to try to demoralize the other. Both sides are going to, you know, falsify numbers or whatever. So my brother's job and me and my brother's job is to really give you guys, we're trying to give you guys a very unbiased reality check of what's going on here, because Western media is going to harp on the military destruction, the military victories, the airstrikes, the blowing up oil fields, blowing up infrastructure, which, by the way, if you could pull it up real quick, Riyadh, if you could pull up, they destroyed a big oil refinery yesterday. The United States and the Israelis, they bombed it, and literally the whole place was on fire. It was like, it looked like it was hell, bro. Like it was the explosion that blew up yesterday.
I showed
and I think that's what Trump was referring to.
Yeah.
I think that's what Trump was referring to when he said that we're going to hit them very hard. So now they're starting to hit their infrastructure.
Yeah.
They hit an oil depot. So both sides are pushing out a whole bunch of propaganda. The United States is like, you know, really highlighting their wins and their destruction. Meanwhile, the IRGC is saying that, you know, we're not going to give up and we're going to keep hitting Israel and we've killed this many soldiers. Because the IRGC is all, yeah, bro, this is not AI, by the way. This is crazy.
Yeah. Engulfed the city in flames. This is a journalist outside reporting on it. I'm assuming he's not. And there's more scenes here of people driving, seeing it from the highway. I mean, scenes from hell, honestly.
Yep.
Very unsettling if you're an Iranian. And look, this is a part of the psychological warfare as well, right? So there's another angle. I mean, that is crazy.
Yep.
Thick cloud of smoke reaching thousands of feet up in the air. You
Yo,
know?
it was so bad it was raining oil, chat.
Yeah.
It was so bad. It was raining oil in Iran.
Look at the road. So yeah.
So look, Pete Hegseth is not lying when he says that they are absolutely decimating Iran militarily and destroying infrastructure. They're not lying about that. But what I'm saying is they're not telling you that that's not the game that the Iranians are playing.
Yep.
Okay, they're not telling you that. Like that, and that's the crazy part. We can go back to the press conference and keep reacting to what he's saying.
Yeah. Here, let's pull it up here.
Iran's capabilities are evaporating by the hour, while American strength grows fiercer, smarter, and utterly dominant. More bombers and more fighters are arriving just today. And now, with complete control of the skies, we will be using 500-pound, 1,000-pound, and 2,000-pound GPS and laser-guided precision gravity bombs, of which we have a nearly unlimited stockpile. We used more exquisite standoff munitions at the start, but no longer need to. Our stockpiles of those, as well as Patriots, remains extremely strong. The enemy can no longer shoot the volume of missiles they once did, not even close. So our air defenses and that of our allies have plenty of runway. We can sustain this fight easily for as long as we need to.
We have sufficient precision munitions for the task at hand, both on the offense and defense. But I want to tell you, teammates, as a matter of practice, I don't want to be talking about quantities. And I know there's been a great debate about that, and I appreciate the interest, but just know that we consider that an operational security matter.
Yeah, and of course the United States does have an effectively unlimited amount of all of these munitions. But something that I was going to say earlier in regards to what Pete Hegseth has been saying is, look, he's right, but he's strategically stepping over something that matters more than everything he's saying, which is the fact that even though we're dominating their airspace or we have air superiority, however you want to classify that, that still does not take away from the fact that boots on ground may be necessary to completely disable or immobilize these missiles programs.
It's 100% necessary. They can't take it.
And they propagated his death, right? They propagated the death of Khamenei in an aspect where they said, after we decapitated the leader and after we got rid of several military or high-ranking officials, rather, we saw a decrease in their missile strikes. We saw a decrease in their military capability. Rather, what it seems is probably the case and what's probably going to take place over these next few days, and this is my prediction, is Iran is going to ramp back up on the missiles program and the missile strikes towards Israel, as well as maybe the Gulf countries if they want to keep attacking them. But it seems like they're going to focus their more highly classified munitions like Fatah 1, Fatah 2 towards Israel. As we already saw, by the way, we already saw Fatah 2 being used for the first time, which if you guys don't know, is like their most complicated, most technologically advanced missile. This one can get to Israel in like 7 or 8 minutes, I believe, some reports that I've read. And so this one can't be intercepted by any U.S. defense radar, any U.S. defense systems. And if it is, only a few of them can be taken out before the rest actually reach their target and hit the ground or strike. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning the death of Khamenei and how Pete Hegseth is weaponizing that, as well as the onslaught of airstrikes on the ground and onslaught of killing of the military commanders, is they're trying to use that or aggrandize that to something bigger to say we're winning. When in actuality, when Khamenei died, there was probably a death cause order or a war or a cause on death to where Iran had all of these military assets or munitions ready or charged up to hit Israel once he was killed. You just froze. Okay, I thought I lost.
Yeah, I got
Massaded. Once he was killed. So it seems like Iran used step one of the phase, which was unleash this seemingly unlimited barrage of missiles. Don't give them a break. That lasted for about a week. Now we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown. It seems like Iran may be focusing their attention on preparing for a boots-on-ground war, which again seems more and more closer or palpable to reality as the days progress now, as we see reports coming out of the White House and Florida and all these intelligence assets meeting, and Donald Trump and his vague comments, as well as Pete Hegseth not ruling out the fact that this could be boots on ground, this could go for 100 days. And so Iran is just responding to what they see or where they see the wind blowing. But expect another barrage of missiles and strikes and more munitions targeted probably primarily towards Israel in the next few days over the coming of this week. We're in Sunday right now, moving into Monday. I would imagine when we get to Friday, we're going to see a good deal of damage being dealt towards Israel, as Iran probably has a lot more where that came from. They barely used even a fraction of their munitions. As we know, they were ramping up to around 400 missiles a month. That was since June. So for these last few months, they've been ready to have these assets set up, aimed at Israel, aimed at any Gulf country, and firing at will. And another thing, too, is it's silly for him to say, well, we're winning the air war. Of course we're winning the air war. We'll win the air war anywhere in the world. The problem is Trump is still flirting with the idea, and it seems like U.S. generals are still hinting at the idea that this could enter a boots-on-ground phase. That renders the air war useless. If we're so great in the air and we have air superiority, why is it necessary for us to deploy troops on the ground? Well, I'll tell you why. It's because the air superiority does nothing to these missiles that, again, like my brother had mentioned, are built underground, could be shot from near underground, are scattered across the very large country that's 4 times the size of Iraq. So if they find one, they've got to go to the other end of the country to find the other. And that's really the problem here. We've got to do a lot of investigative work. We got to do a lot of digging and research to actually find where these are. That's going to require human bodies on the ground, most likely. And that's what this war is going to graduate to in the next few weeks. Go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing also that's important, can we find a clip where Hegseth talked about they destroyed or their capabilities are done with the launchers?
I know what clip you're talking about. Let's see.
If you could find that up, because that's super important, because I want to talk about that as well. And also, guys, when it comes to the air superiority, you know, every military analyst has talked about this. Number one, you can't effectuate a regime change with just air power. You're going to have to put boots on the ground. Number two, they came out not too long. I think it came out like yesterday, the day before. Basically, it was established that Iran is nearly impossible to effectuate a regime change in, let alone without a fucking boots on ground scenario, because the country is so insulated and has such a strong defensive posture geographically. right? With the mountains to the north and then the mountains to the west that are extremely difficult to traverse. And then obviously it's just unforgiving terrain in general. So that's
Defense Secretary.
And the other thing also is that I've noticed that there's been quite a bit of talk when it comes to Iran's ballistic missile barrages not being as I guess frequent, or not as voluminous, not being as voluminous as they were in the beginning. And there's an explanation for that. But what I'm realizing is both parties are kind of seizing on each other's quotes and political missteps to put out propaganda. Both sides are doing this, by the way, right? Trump goes ahead and says, oh yeah, the president apologized to the Middle East. They're not going to bomb because they know that they lost. What did they do? They said, oh, you want to say that, Trump? And then they bombed them, right? To show that, Trump is not necessarily credible in that regard. Pete Hegseth sees that the frequency of the ballistic missiles coming in to the Gulf and to Israel have dropped off significantly, roughly by 90%. What has Pete Hegseth been saying? He's been saying we've destroyed a lot of their launchers, we've destroyed their capabilities, etc. But what they're not telling you is more than likely there's a plausible explanation to the launcher decrease, right? So for you guys to understand what I'm saying here, we need to understand how the Iranians attack. As you guys know, the tip of the spear when it comes to how the Iranians conduct their military operations is through ballistic missile warfare. And they do this by having an intense and large missile program alongside drones. They have tens of thousands of drones, and they also have thousands of ballistic missiles. Okay, we got cruise missiles, hypersonic missiles, all types, right? And what you guys need to know is these missiles are launched with launchers, okay? These launchers are pretty much mobile trucks that have they have on the flatbed side, they have like this thing that lifts the rocket up like this, so they could be shot into the sky. A lot of them, especially the ballistic missiles, basically go into the sky in a parabola and then come back into the atmosphere and then hit their target, right? Then obviously you got the cruise missiles and everything else like that. They go lower to the ground, whatever. They have all types of rockets. But the point is that they have these launchers. They have hundreds of these launchers all over the country, okay? Now, what the American media is telling you is, well, these missiles, these barrages, they went from having hundreds of missiles being shot a day to maybe 10, maybe 20 missiles a day, etc. Well, the reason why they don't need to spam as many missiles is because the air defenses are getting lower and lower. And we saw this during the 12-day war, where as the days went on, you saw less missiles during each barrage, but each one was more accurate, okay? Now, the government, right, the U.S. is trying to say, well, that's because we're destroying their launchers. Well, what they're not telling you is a lot of these launchers that they're destroying are decoys, right, that are being purposely staged out to look like it's there, or paintings. The U.S. and the Israeli Air Force have been bombing paintings for a while, right? Now, does this mean that they're not actually destroying launchers? Of course they are. I'm sure they've destroyed 100 plus. But the reality is that the Iranians know that launchers are the cornerstone of their military strategy. So you don't think with thousands of missiles, they're also not going to have thousands of trucks? I mean, let's just have a little bit of common sense here, right? And the launchers are underground, deep underground. Guys, the Iranians have missile cities. If we could pull up an image of this real quick, Riyadh, for them, like what these missile cities look like. They have missile cities, all right, where thousands of these missiles are stockpiled, and there's launchers all over the place. And also, guys, keep in mind that the Iranians have the capability of shooting these rockets from under the fucking sand, okay? They don't even have to shoot them with a traditional launcher. They can shoot them from under the sand. Also, they have box trucks that look like regular trucks, but can also shoot launchers from there as well. So besides having disguised launchers, decoys, and then having probably, I would argue, probably thousands of launchers, right? They're estimating that they only have hundreds. I think they probably have thousands. They have thousands of missiles. It only makes sense.
Certainly have more, and the ones that they hit are probably the ones that Iran's not prioritizing anyways. That's why they got hit.
Precisely. So these are the missile cities. We could play this clip for them real quick. So this is in March of this, a video shared on March 25th shows some of Iran's most advanced missiles. Boom! Like, look at this, man.
I believe this is from last year, but you can see, this is completely underground,
where bunker busters can't hit them a lot of times. And also,
go ahead.
There's hundreds of these cities, chat, all across Iran. Hundreds of them. We don't know where they all are. We can roll the clip, though. Go ahead.
Find various ways to signal
their offensive military power, their defensive military power, and the deterrence capabilities. And so one of the things they do is, for example, is test missiles or carry out military exercises. One of the other things they do is to tour military facilities, and among those are missile facilities.
Look at this, by the way. Got the Israeli flag on the ground, bro. It's crazy.
Military facilities, and among those are missile facilities.
You can pause.
Yeah, so this is from like a year back, but let's see if they show a little more. I don't think they do. Yeah, but like, look at this.
There you go.
These are the trucks.
Bro, there's hundreds of these fucking missile cities, guys. Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
Okay? So when Pete Hegseth, right, says, we've destroyed a bunch of their launchers, we destroyed a bunch of their launchers, we've destroyed their capability because 90% of their rocket spamming has went down. Understand that correlation is not causation. I'm gonna say that again. Correlation is not causation. Yes, the barrages have less rockets than before, but the reason why the barrages have less rockets than before is because they don't need to spam as many rockets because they know that their enemies have less interceptors. Okay? Also, remember, the Iranians are invested in having this be a long-term protracted war, which means go on for several months. They know the longer that this war goes on, the better it is for them. The longer they can keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, the longer they can keep Qatari energy from not reaching Europe, the longer that they can create economic and an energy crisis, the better for them. So they also have to conserve their rocket stockpile. Okay? Now, the Pentagon is using this, decrease in ballistic missile barrages or volume to say, we're destroying their capability. Let me tell you guys more than likely what really went down, okay? This is what probably happened. Well, not even probably happened. I know this is what happened because I've been based off the analysis and looking at what happened. So let's start on day one. Let's go back to the 12-day war. Okay, let's go back in time a little bit. And before I get into this explanation, I want everybody that's watching on Rumble to come to Kick. I'm ending the Rumble stream right now. I pinned it right there, guys. Come on over to Kick. We're going over to Kick on Rumble. Okay, I'm ending the Rumble stream right now. Come on over to Kick, guys. Everybody come to Kick. If you're watching on OSS, you're fine. Stay where you're at, but we're going to Kick right now. Okay, guys, Rumble stream going down right now. Move on over. Come on over. Okay, there's no ads. Great service. We've been on here for what, like 3 hours or something like that? Yeah, 3 hours on Rumble. I don't want to hear no bitching. Come on over. And I'm going to explain this situation of what happened. There's no ads on Kick. Come on over to Kick, guys. Great and user-friendly. We love Rumble, but I got to bring everybody to one spot so it makes sense. Come on over, guys. I'm ending the Rumble stream right now. Boom. Okay. Let me make sure we're clear on that end. All right, we're good. We're clear. Okay. Now, let's get into this. So, in order for this to make sense, you guys must go back to June of 2026. As you guys know, in June of 2026, the Israelis launched a sneak attack called Operation Rising Lion, which then led to the 12-day war. Operation Rising Lion revealed some significant weaknesses that the Iranian government had and military had. Air defense, being sneak attacked, they had a weak infrastructure susceptible to hacking. They were able to get spies inside to the country that destroyed their air defense. And the Israelis were able to mount an extremely powerful undercover operation via the Mossad and really catch the Iranians with their pants down. And it was bad. It was very costly. But they learned some very important lessons. What they learned was they need to be impervious to decapitation, because the whole purpose of the 12-day of the Operation Rise Line, which led to the 12-day war, was to decapitate the head of the government. And when they failed, the Ayatollah Khamenei realized, okay, we need to decentralize our military structure so that if we respond, it's automatic, and even if the leadership is killed, we have something in place to retaliate aggressively. Now, what ended up happening was the Iranians adopted something that the Soviets have had in place for decades, right? Post-Cold War, during the Cold War, which is called like the dead hand system. And the dead hand system, guys, is if you kill the leadership, the Russians are going to launch every single nuke at the United States at all of our major cities and cause mutually assured destruction, aka MAD. Now, the Iranians don't have a nuclear weapon right now, but they do have a very sophisticated ballistic missile program with accurate rockets. So what the Iranians said was, okay, if the U.S. does indeed kill me and the leadership, we will be able to mount a fierce and quick retaliatory response. Now, February 28th comes. They bombed the fuck out of his bunker in his residence, which, just so you guys know, by the way, he was above ground in his office when they killed him. FYI. He was above ground in his office. He refused to leave.
Made no attempt to hide at all, which is like...
Made no attempt to hide.
And we'll say, seems like he may have just accepted the fact that he'll be killed in a strike, and people are going to say, oh, that's cope. But I mean, the guy made no attempt to hide, and something that's readily available in Iran is these underground cities. And so that does something to say, or there is something to think about there. But go ahead.
And here's the proof of that, by the way. He was in his office, which is above ground, right? The Israelis bombed the fuck out of it. He could have been in the bunker below, but he wasn't in the bunker below. And the IRGC was meeting at the bunker below for a week after the strikes. The Israelis found out, and then they bombed it again with hundreds of bombs. And I don't even know if they destroyed it. So even though they bombed the fuck out of them the first time around, they couldn't destroy the bunker. So guys, that entire military infrastructure there that they bombed and they killed the supreme leader at, there was a bunker below it that didn't get destroyed. The Israelis found out that the IRGC was still meeting there, and they bombed it again.
Yep.
Okay? And this has been verified that he was indeed in his office when he got bombed. Okay, guys? It's on Twitter. You can look at it. Like, because the Israelis, one of these like Israeli propagandists, Avon Levy, or one of these IDF, one of these motherfuckers put, oh, they killed him in his bunker. That's actually wrong. They killed him while he was in his office above ground.
And
That's
Iranian
a fact.
officials came out, at least one in the news, and we showed this before on stream, but he was saying that Khamenei was advised by security officials to move from where his office was, as it was one of the first targets that would presumably be set up by the United States or Israel in their strikes, or their joint strikes that Iran had saw coming, by the way, due to the brinksmanship and other signs from their intelligence assets. And he said he didn't want to move. He said he wanted to stay there, and if he couldn't move 90 million Iranians, this is what he said, quote, if I can't move 90 million Iranians, then I'm not going to move either. Now, look, you can speculate, you can say that whether that's right or that's wrong, but I think there is some gravity or weight to that because of the fact that he was above ground in his office, which he knew U.S. assets or U.S. intelligence had the drop on. And so it seemed as if, though, maybe he wanted martyrdom. And as we know, in their sect of Islam, that's highly sought after.
During Ramadan especially. So,
yeah.
And regardless, we have corroborating facts to show that he was above ground. That's a fact. You guys might say, well, you know, that's cope to say that he wanted to be martyred. Whatever. That's irrelevant. That's not what matters. What matters is this. Clearly, they had an established plan because within an hour of them getting bombed, rockets were going towards Israel and the U.S. bases. So that tells me the fact that they were able to respond so quickly, the orders were given before he died. If something happens to the hierarchy here, if the leadership is killed, all of you guys have your marching orders and is decentralized. All of you guys know what your targets are. You guys know what rockets you have, your capacity to attack. Do what's supposed to be done.
Dead man
so
switch.
phase one was completed, and that dead man switch was activated when they killed him. Okay? You don't have to believe us, but the facts show that we're more than likely accurate in our analysis of what happened based off of the facts and circumstances of how quickly the retaliation was mounted. Okay? And just so you guys know, when Operation Rising Lion happened and they got attacked and blitzkrieged, it took them what, 12 hours to 24 hours to respond?
Yeah.
The first time?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this time, within an hour, rockets were being launched. And guys, to retaliate in that time frame is incredibly fast.
Yeah.
That's incredibly fast for them to retaliate that quickly. That tells me that orders were put out before, and the way that they struck and how aggressive they struck, those first couple of days tells me that the orders were put out. So
not only that,
now,
just to say this, not how aggressive they were, but how accurate they were. A lot of those strikes were sent out to different countries at the same time, targeting civilian infrastructure to target what would presumably be Israeli or U.S. officials, whether they're military assets or intelligence assets. So that's a further testament to the fact that it was probably a planned set of action upon the death or assassination of Khamenei or other military officials. These are your exact charging orders. These are your marching orders. You must do this if military assets are killed. So that's a little bit more of a reason. I mean, if you look at the first few days from Saturday moving into like Thursday, the strikes were relentless and they were very accurate. Go ahead.
No. That's a good point because the accuracy also shows that they had their coordinates, they had their marching orders, they knew exactly what drones, what missiles they were going to use. So
it was all
autonomous. I think it's irrefutable at this point that they decentralized their retaliation way ahead of time because they learned that the Israelis tried to decapitate them. So they said, you know what, let's make ourselves where even if they do decapitate the leadership, niggas are going to pay. And that's what they did. Now, with that said, the Iranians also strategically have destroyed a majority, or well, no, not majority, but they destroyed a significant amount of the radars in the region.
The THAAD system is about half of them. I'm seeing reports 30%. I'm seeing other reports 50%. So they've done a good deal of damage already.
So now why is this important? The reason why this is important is because these radars all across the region, right, are responsible for detecting missiles to give them advance warning that rockets are inbound and you need to mount your fucking air defenses, right? You need to start, because the radars identify that message is transmitted to the surface air missiles, and then that's what shoots the rockets, right? But you know, the fucking human ingenuity, by the way, it's amazing. That's what shoots the rockets based on math and engineering and other complex equations as to find the rocket, intercept it before it actually hits its target. Now, when it comes to missile warfare, like we discussed before, guys, timing is everything, and the ability to have a reaction window, right? Every second counts. Every second counts. So when you remove the radars, you effectively make the surface air missiles like the Iron Dome and these other THAAD, Patriot system, you significantly inhibit their ability to detect and shoot these rockets down in a timely fashion. Yep. Okay? And the Iranians have basically, so step one, retaliate. Step two, attack strategic locations all across the Gulf, especially in the UAE, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait, etc. They destroyed the military bases, they destroyed the air defenses, they destroyed the radars. Okay? So step one of the conflict is basically effectively done. And they also put the Gulf states on notice because Trump admitted this, I think, with the New York Post or one of these like tabloids, one of these, news entities. He admitted that he did not think that they were going to attack the Gulf states as aggressive as they did. And as a matter of fact, it was reported today in the New York Times that him and his staff did not think that the Iranians will fight back this hard. That was reported today in the New York Times. I don't know if you saw that, Riyadh.
Yeah, and that was evident from the beginning because Trump had thought this was going to be the situation similar to that of Venezuela or other situations where we step in, we show our guns, we have heavy brinksmanship. We've had brinksmanship very heavily for the last month. We had 50% of our U.S. assets there, our military assets there. And so we have all these expensive carriers and all of this air power, all this presence, and Trump thought that would be enough. So that was step one in hopefully deterring Iran or destroying their morale or lowering it. That charged them up even more. Then we attacked them. That put an even larger battery in their back. And so this plays into what you had said earlier in regards to the potentiality of nuclear entering the situation, is that Trump is realizing, wow, I'm on my heels here. Every single time I try and test their gangster, they fight right back. He even takes a Truth Social to say, oh, well, you know, you're a bully of the Middle East, and look at you, you pussied out. You stopped attacking the Gulf countries. And what did Arakchi or the foreign minister or everybody else say? Oh, you know what? Okay, bet we'll just keep attacking them. And it doesn't cost them much because these drones are made in-house for somewhere around the ballpark of $20,000. And so it's practically free for
and they
Iran.
can't defend it anymore. It's
They
free
can't
to attack
defend it.
them. And yeah, and they don't even have the air defenses now to do it, really. I think at this point, the Gulf has a few days left, guys, of interceptors.
Yeah, these THAAD missiles, like places in Jordan and others, are being destroyed. That stands for Terminal High Altitude Defense or High Altitude Area Defense. That's what the United States primarily uses to defend airspace in several of these Gulf countries. These are being destroyed. It's a short distance across the Gulf. These drones are cheap. They cost nothing. They're practically fun at some point, I would imagine, for Iran to use. They just throw them out like candy and wait for it to hit its target. And so
they make them in-house. They make them in-house, chat.
They're going to systematically use those to terrorize the people of these Gulf countries, drive away tourism, drive away their economic growth and their oil facilities, which they hit in Saudi Arabia. And they're also attacking other pieces of oil infrastructure, or trying to, in other places like Kuwait, which I saw reported yesterday. And so, again, this is what a war of attrition looks like when we verbalize it for you guys. But Trump had gotten word from intelligence assets. The Pentagon had hinted at this, and Marco Rubio didn't do a good job in his confuzzle earlier in the press about 4 or 5 days ago. Trump had gotten the word that if we are to attack Iran and completely switch out the regime or do full-on regime change, it's going to require boots on ground. And what did Donald Trump do? He ignored that order. He ignored that advice. He ignored that intelligence, and he went in with an air campaign anyways. And now this air campaign is rendering useless. Why? Because Iran still has a great deal of their military capabilities, that being their ballistic missile
He was
program,
hoping the uprising, dude.
Yeah, he was hoping the people would take to the streets.
Like, he was really hoping on that.
Yeah, it's ironic because it's like Trump actually believed what the lies that he was spewing were true in regards to 30,000 people being killed in the protest. If that were true, let's say Iran did have these protests in the beginning of January, and let's say 30,000 people were killed, and let's say that people really did hate the regime, then maybe the United States stepping in would be the final tipping point to edge over an organic regime change. But that was all fake, propagated by us, as well as the Mossad. So that was never real. And it's like, did Trump notice? And like, the guy's getting old, he's in cognitive decline. Does he realize that wasn't real? Maybe he's thinking it was real, and so the people would take to the streets and they would take the country over. Hey, dumbass, that was us. Hey, dumbass, that was Israeli Mossad. That wasn't an organic actual uprising. And the way I know that is because the IRGC was systematically shutting people down with these calculated protests and attacks against them very quickly, a lot quicker than we've seen before in other potential civil uprisings, in which I'm sure the Mossad has attempted several times in that region. I think the last time being in 2008 when they had a really big protest or civil strife. And so Iran has just gained so much time, like I said, to do their homework over the years, and they're more than ready. And by the way, during Operation Rising Lion or Operation Midnight Hammer, the United States and Israel should have just kept going, because at that point, Iran was not prepared to respond militarily like they are now. Now they're charged up. Now they've armed up more soldiers. Now they've probably ramped up, and we know that, but they've ramped up their missiles program so much more underground. God knows what they're doing right now in this moment. We gave them so much time to prepare. That's why this war is that much more painful for the United States and Israel.
Yeah, that 12-day war really strengthened the Iranians like some Saiyans, bro. Like it did. And here's the thing. The only reason the 12-day war ended, guys, is because the Israelis begged for a ceasefire. I want to make that fucking clear. I want you guys to understand that the last war ended because the Israelis begged for a fucking ceasefire. So there was an agreement made where there would be symbolic strikes on both ends. The United States would attack and destroy their nuclear program, allegedly, and the Iranians would attack the El Udeid base in Qatar.
Yeah, and you want to know why they begged for a ceasefire? Because these types of missiles were hitting their infrastructure. Look how fast this is. Just wait for it. Can't even see it. Look, if I slow the frames down and scrub through, that's it right there.
Oh, there you go.
It's warping.
Wow.
It's warping in the fucking air, you know? So, and I got a couple other clips too of these missiles. This is allegedly a report of one being seen in the sky, right? And although this may not look that fast, guys, that's fast as hell. This guy's on the ground and he's watching it move that quickly above him at thousands of feet. So,
another thing also, I was going to say, because, Hegseth and them are talking about, the Iranians, they're shooting less missiles now. They're starting to shoot these cluster bombs, guys. I forgot to mention that. So the Iranians now, these missiles that they're shooting, guys, spread out, which is a fucking nightmare for air defense, by the way. So not only are they shooting, maybe the volume is down, but here's the problem. The volume is down, but they're shooting these cluster fucking bombs.
Yeah.
So that makes up for the lack of spamming like they did before, and interceptors are down. And guys, more and more rockets are getting through. And let me show you guys this real quick here.
And it's overwhelming for the air defense missiles, and it's also overwhelming economically because it's more expensive for us to defend those than it is for them to attack.
Yeah, way more, man. So like, look at this right here.
Ya Allah, you. Ya Allah, you.
Bruh.
Oh, hell.
Ya. Allah.
Is this from the 12 there? This is recent.
Yeah, this is crazy, bro.
Oh, God. Okay, guys, we got to get off the roof. These are coming down right next to us here. They're coming down. One just about. We got to go inside.
Yeah, it's also like, why are there Chinese?
Go ahead.
No, it's just like, why are there Chinese subtitles? That shows you how much these clips have to get skewed to actually surface, because Israel tries so hard to censor this stuff. Like, you cannot find this readily available anywhere. It's hard to even differentiate whether this is recent. This is from this actual recent attack. I think
this was from today, right? Or yesterday, last night? They bombed the underground. Apparently, this came. Look at this. Why Iran is busting underground tunnels in Tel Aviv. Seems this was a hideout for important officials. So they got one of the bunkers, dude.
Wow.
Here we go.
That's by RT.
There's one more. There's one more.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm telling you guys, Tel Aviv is on fire, dude. Like, it's no bueno for these niggas, man.
Yeah, and that's also lit a fire under Trump's ass to try and make this finish. And that's the thing. People say, well, you guys are crazy. We would not even need reports of tactical nukes entering the conversation to speculate that. Why? Because there's a fire lit under Donald Trump's ass currently, because Tel Aviv is probably being lit on fire with these ballistic missiles. So not only is it difficult for him to try and pose a threat and actually decapitate the regime and effectuate some sort of change or cover ground, but the bigger point is that Israel's under fire the longer we stay in this war and we don't decapitate or we don't immobilize their ability to shoot these missiles from wherever the hell they're shooting them, for that matter. So that's another reason why boots on ground is going to have to be imminent if we can guarantee the safety and security of Israel. That's as well as the fact that Israel has their own nuke as well, and they may be motivated to use that if they see too much damage to their own country. And that's going to be an issue for the United States, something that we had to deal with in the Yom Kippur War. That might surface again. They may try to hedge that against us, and they might try to say, if you don't put boots on ground, if you don't stop these missile capabilities, if you don't figure it out, if you don't finish this problem that we started, well, then we're going to be forced to use a nuke. If we don't, these missiles are going to wipe our country clean and level it to the ground like they did with Gaza. So that's another issue as to why Trump is feeling a lot of pressure currently in starting something he couldn't quickly finish.
So look at this, guys. As you guys know, they elected a new supreme leader with the panel of experts, if I'm not mistaken. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
And the new supreme leader, who is, I think, the second oldest son of Khamenei.
I saw second oldest as well in reports on Twitter.
I think he's one of his sons. This guy is worse than the supreme leader, by the way, guys. He is even more anti-America, right? He might reel back that fatwa about the nuclear bomb. Back in, I think, 2004, 2005, the supreme leader put out a fatwa basically saying, look, we're not going to use a nuclear bomb because it's death and destruction and we don't want that. Because obviously a nuclear bomb doesn't just kill the people that it kills, it continues to kill people after the fact. But this guy, the son, is way more radical. So here is an Iranian and Iranians reacting. I think this came out a couple hours ago because he was just selected as the supreme leader recently. This came out today. So let's see what he has to say. This is the reaction of the people.
Hi everyone, I'm here live from the streets of Tehran. It's 3 a.m. right now and people have just heard of the news of the new supreme leader being elected. And I'm just going to show you the views from the streets of Tehran. Make sure to send this to Trump and his dirty, filthy media.
Oh my God.
So this is just a normal random street from Tehran. I'm not making this up. It's 8th March, 3 a.m. in the morning. People are out here and you can look at the crowd here, absolute massive crowd. Trump said that Iranians want to come out against the regime and you see the protesters of the regime and all of these regime propagandists who have come out at 3 a.m. in the morning celebrating the election of Ayatollah Mustafa Khamenei as their supreme leader. We see it's not like all of these are religious people. Western media would tell you these are religious people. Yeah. Just look at these modern women who are standing here. They're not religious.
Also, this is something else I want to say, bro. I get annoyed when they say that like the women don't have any rights in Iran. That's not true. Women go to school in Iran and they don't even cover their hair, bro. Like, bro. Here, I'll show y'all a clip here in a second. Go ahead. Do you want to say something? Go ahead.
No. I was just agreeing with you. A lot of it is propaganda, and so that's shoved down the Americans' throat. But Iran, look, it's a religious republic. It's a theocracy, but it's a little bit more lenient than people actually realize. Now, that's not to defend them. Look, and I just want to say, by the way, Khamenei has said in several statements before that all Sunni Muslims are disbelievers, are kuffar. You know, like the Shias have extreme beliefs against us Sunnis. And so I have no vested interest in giving this guy credit. But I will say a lot of the narratives that are spun by the United States media or legacy media just aren't true. You know, Iran is not as crazy or strict as it may always seem on the surface, especially depending on where you are. Now, that's not to say the regime is not responsible for really nasty and monstrosity, acts of monstrosity, especially against my own people, my own Muslims. But, there's a little bit more liberty than people would think that meets the eye. And I've seen clips of that as well.
So,
and by the way, we have breaking news, visual confirmation of an impact near an oil refinery in Bahrain. That's 47 minutes ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm pulling up something right now for these guys. Hold on. So this guy got elected. I want to show you guys because they always say this shit about like, oh yeah, the Iranians, like the women have no rights. They can't do anything. Here, look, bro. Here's a real video. I'll show y'all niggas right now. This is from Tehran. You guys can see this comes from Syrian girl on her thing. This is her in Tehran.
And I'm shopping in Iran's capital, Tehran, with a
And I want you guys to pay attention. A lot of the women aren't covering their hair.
beautiful Iranian guide, just to show how much propaganda there is about women's life here to promote regime change. So hop in, friends.
This is a mall. You look, women. Some of them are hijabbing, some of them are not. Some of them are hijab, some of them are not, as you guys can see here. So look, they'll sit there and they'll try to tell you guys like, oh yeah, like it's like women are oppressed and all this other bullshit. It's not true, bro. It's not true. You know, and this is easily refutable here. You guys can see right here in Tehran. So again, like, and the thing is they have to fearmonger this shit for you guys to like justify the ridiculous amount of aggression that they're putting on them. And we're just keeping it real with y'all. Like, again, me and my brother don't give a fuck about Iran. We don't give a fuck about the Ayatollah. We're not Shiites. We don't care. We're just telling you guys, though, that this is demonstrably a fucking lie when they tell you, like, the women are oppressed. They can't do anything.
Yeah.
Not really, bro.
It's
not
my
really.
interest. Look, it's in my interest to discharge or diffuse the negative narrative about Iran so the United States does not do the bidding of a foreign nation. That's why it's in my interest. Not because I care about Iran's optics. I could care less about Iran, whether it was wiped off the map or it wasn't. That's just me being honest. And maybe my brother doesn't agree with me. I don't care about the country whatsoever. But
bro, more women are not hijab than women that are hijab, bro.
Yeah, and a lot of secular. There's so many secular. Atheism is growing in Iran. You know, Islam is not this like really strong ideology in Iran like people may think. Yeah, there's a lot of very religious zealots or religious Shia Muslims, but on the other end as well, there's a complete mirror of people who are not that religious, people who are relatively secular. And you can see in videos like this when they go through shopping malls and others. And this is just a part of the propaganda war. You know, you have both sides pushing out the propaganda. The United States has done a good job in damaging the image of Iran, but that's not the truth on the ground, right? And that's why we have sanctions. Any country that we have sanctions imposed on, you're never going to be able to get the real news from the United States. So you're going to have to look at alternative media like this. But yeah,
it's like it's demonstrably fucking false. So like, you know, I think they asked Trump yesterday. They asked him some shit like, he said something about like, oh, they kill women, that they behead little girls and some other shit. Like, bro, you did that. You fucking you were the one that killed. They said they cut women in half and shit. What?
Yeah,
that's not like, it's just so many lies, bro. It's so many lies. But again, they have to push this propaganda to justify the ridiculous amount of aggression. We are in the wrong here, chat. We are in the wrong. We have to be very honest with ourselves. We attacked them, right? For no fucking reason, no strategic benefit for Israel.
Yeah.
So they have to now justify the bullshit of attacking them unprovoked by saying, look, they do all this to women and they're killing their people. And like, we just keep giving you guys facts. Like, think about it. If they really killed 30,000 of their own people, don't you think an uprising would have happened when they killed Ayatollah?
Exactly.
They really killed 30,000 of their people?
That's what I said. And it's like, it seems like Trump is having this cognitive disaffect, or like he's growing old and he's forgetting the fact that he was the reason behind that whole fake uprising and there wasn't actually 30,000 killed. Because if there were 30,000 killed, we would have seen that materialize on the ground to where the IRGC would have lost a lot of influence and control. And the Iranians who were against the IRGC would have armed up with the Americans and the Israelis. But that's not what had happened. So, and something that's really important, I don't know if everybody
look at these people. They're saying, look at these people. They're out there 3 o'clock in the morning saying, yo, get back. Like, fuck the United States. Like, again, guys, and I'll give you guys an example just so you guys understand. Let's say something happened to, God forbid, something happened to Donald Trump, right? Someone attacked him, a foreign agent, like, did something to him. We would all be like, yo, fuck that shit. We got to go get this guy. We're not going to let somebody fucking attack our politicians, especially a foreign agent, right? This is exactly how they feel.
Even if it was Joe Biden, even if it was Donald Trump, it doesn't matter if we agree with him or not. That would be encroachment on the American people. That would be something that would hurt our honor, our pride. That would be something that would charge us up regardless of our politics, because now it's a bigger war. It's all of us united against another country.
Exactly. So this is exactly how the Iranians are. Like, you know, if something happened to AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, we don't agree with these fucking radical leftists. But if something happened to them from an external perspective, we would be like, fuck that. Yeah. Like, nobody can talk shit about our people except for us. So this is exactly what's uniting the Iranians. So, you know, and again, you guys can say what you want. Oh, Myron, well, I don't agree with you, like, blah, blah, blah. I've shown you the facts. Number one, are the women being oppressed? You see them walking around without hijabs, bro, in public, in a fucking huge metropolitan area in Tehran, right? Are the people going to rise up and attack the government? You guys have seen demonstrably they weren't able to do it, despite the fact that Netanyahu and Trump and Pete Hegseth are all saying rise up and go against your government. We're showing you guys that that's not happening. This is why now they're flirting with boots on the ground, or maybe sending in the Kurds, or using a nuclear weapon. Clearly, the people are not going to rise up. Don't believe Patrick Bet-David. We should actually react to his video too, by the way. Apparently, he did some video talking about what's going to happen here. We could react to that as well. So, do not believe these westernized fucking Iranians that are exiled or diaspora or have some grievance with the current regime because, you know, they were kicked out or they had some other grievance. Like, the people on the ground here, you guys can see here, overwhelmingly prefer the government over the Israelis and the United States. Yeah. They might hate the government, but they're still going to rally around the flag. So everything that we've done is fucking backfired, dude. Like, look, this woman's on the streets saying, fuck this shit. Here, this is right after this guy just got elected. His son, who's even more radical, by the way, just so you guys know, the son is far more radical than the dad.
That is showing you absolute bullshit day and night. And people like us get labeled as regime propagandists. And I don't know what to say. I haven't forced these people to come out.
They dude, this is backfired, bro. Rallied around the flag, man. This is the rally around the flag effect.
You've just come out and
something
so
that
Trump,
those people
you wanted,
understand a lot better than Americans is that the United States is a master at false flag attacks that would eventually motivate regime change. And I want to make sure the chat understands that very well. The United States has, and honestly, all major world superpowers are very good at this, and this is a necessary evil if you want to be the strongest country in the world, is perpetuating these false narratives or staging false flag attacks to justify a war in a country. And so that's why it's imperative for us to understand that if we don't have that understanding, we'll believe everything. You know, you have things like Operation Ajax, which is what started the issue in Iran. You have Operation Northwoods with the situation in Cuba and John F. Kennedy. That's something that I was going to go over maybe next stream or later on because Trump is talking about Cuba. But the reason why I bring that up is to make a greater point. With these false flag attacks, you have to be very, very aware of them. If you are not, or you're not aware of the United States propagating a lie, then you're going to fall for everything and justify every single war and have your tax dollars robbed from you, have your government subverted, have your politicians brainwashed, have your children brainwashed if you don't understand these things to a T. And you don't have to be intricate with it. You don't have to understand history to a really molecular or a molecular level. Rather, you should just understand that that's standard protocol in order to invoke some sort of war and motivate a regime change. And that's kind of what we're seeing in Iran right now, you know, with the whole protests and the 30,000 dead and then Trump weaponizing that and it not working. You know, if you're familiar with regime change and you're familiar with false flag attacks, then you'll see right through that and know this is a bullshit war for another country. By the way, you're still screen sharing. I don't know if you...
Yeah, no, I know. I'm trying to find Mike Pompeo's Mossad comment.
I can pull it up. I got you.
You already have it ready? Okay.
I know an article that has it linked.
Yeah, because, you know, it's just wild to me how, you know, I want to be clear about this. Like, look, bro, we're not saying... we're not Iran apologists. We're not like, oh yeah, we love the Ayatollah. Hell nah, bro. But like, we have to be very honest here and be, and kind of cut through a lot of the bullshit, right? Has the Islamic Republic of Iran done unspeakable acts and atrocities? Of course, every single government has. But to sit here and, you know, purposely lie or mislead the American public to say that, you know, these people are going to rise up and attack their government, whatever, when we have, you know, proof that that's demonstrably false is absolutely nuts. Right, and then here we go. Boom! Look at this, guys. Look. How do we know that it's a... Look at this.
So this is January 2nd, 2026. So the beginning of the year when the protests were happening. The Iranian regime is in trouble. Bringing in mercenaries is its last best hope. Riots in dozens of cities, and the besieged under siege. Mashhad, Tehran, Zahedan, next step, Balochistan. 47 years of this regime. President of the United States, 47. Coincidence? Happy New Year to every Iranian in the streets. Also to every Mossad agent walking beside them.
Bro,
I mean, I don't know how much more obvious. Look, I'm so glad you reminded me of that. I didn't even think to bring that up. So that just vindicated my 2-minute monologue on false flag attacks. Like,
yeah, bro,
it's in your face.
We're coming with facts, bro. Like, I'm sorry, some of you guys might be watching this shit punching the air. Like, what the fuck? My government's lying to me. But bro, we're coming with facts. when it comes to the dead hand system, when it comes to Pete Hegseth trying to articulate that the 90% reduction in missiles coming through, he's trying to say that he's trying to attribute that to them destroying launchers. We're telling you it's probably not the launchers. It's more likely that they finished the first wave and they're recalibrating their attack, and that this is a war of attrition and they're trying to go the long term. And the U.S. is trying to sell you, we're winning, we're destroying their infrastructure. Well, are you really destroying their infrastructure? You probably are, but are you destroying their ability to cause pain? No, you're not, because they're still fucking firing missiles. Okay, they don't have to shoot a barrage anymore because interceptors are going down. But they're not talking about that. The Pete Hegseth and Trump are omitting the important things that matter about this war. They're not talking about gas prices. They're trying to justify the gas price going up. Like Trump just put on Truth Social. Oh, the gas prices are going up. It's temporary though. No, it's not. It's going to continue to go up because the Iranians are going to surrender.
Yeah,
okay, they're not going to surrender.
Continue to stay volatile. It's going to continue to stay a 20-mile dangerous passageway that ships are not going to want to go through. And by the way, for you guys that don't know, I hope everybody's aware of this, but just to kind of put the cherry on top, Mike Pompeo was a former director of the CIA in 2017 and 2018, as well as Secretary of State. He worked directly under Trump previously. So he's not just any rich guy who happens to be of a certain religion saying this. No. He was a former director of CIA, and he tweeted that Mossad agents were involved in the protests in Iran. Does that not effectuate regime change? Is that not the point of the war?
He was the one that put the IRGC as a foreign terrorist organization. He was the one that prompted
greenlit them in 2018 after Trump announced that Iran is no longer a part of the JCPOA or will no longer be a part of the JCPOA. By the way, something that China, Russia, the EU had all agreed on. This was a deal that was going to guarantee peace in the Middle East, at least for the forthcoming future, before we made a different agreement or move forward with something a little bit more extreme. But very, very important for people to understand. I don't know how you can argue against the fact that the former director of the CIA, who has worked directly under Trump and still closely works with Trump, I would imagine, is tweeting out during the protests that Mossad agents are walking alongside protesters. I feel like I have to say that again. That's crazy. The director of the CIA is telling you, guys, we don't even have to conspiracize. And so I think that I'm talking to an audience that's kind of unaware. I see a lot of backlash in my comments, although most of it is positive. I'm not being negative here. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I see a lot of people who say, well, you guys are kind of coping. You're not understanding. This is to effectuate regime change. This is a war for another country. Why do you want to do the bidding of another country that, if they gain autonomy in an already volatile and pivotal region, would wreak havoc and encroach upon all the other borders around them? The Sinai, the Golan Heights, Iraq, Egypt, all these countries are under an immense amount of danger or under a large threat if this regime change is effectuated. Why? Because Iran is the only other power balance structure in the Middle East that keeps Israel in check. The axis of resistance, Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, all created by Qasem Soleimani, who was killed by Trump in 2020. So Trump comes in 2016. In 2018, he destroys the JCPOA. That's the pact that guarantees Iran will at least halt or slow down their nuclear enrichment, which means they can't race towards a bomb like they previously were. Trump destroys that. Obama created it in 2015. Then Trump goes ahead and greenlights all of the IRGC, or Mike Pompeo, this guy who tweeted the Mossad shit. He says they're all terrorists. I mean, do I have to spell it out? I don't know if I have to do an investigation board and like in the movies draw a red string to pictures and then give you this big conclusion. I don't know how dumb some of the people in the chat are, but I don't know how this doesn't get through your head. This is not for the United States. It doesn't interest us. Look no further than Mike Pompeo if you want the confirmation for that. So
yeah, and right after he said that, what happened? Riots all over around.
30,000 dead, and the IRGC are killing people. They're hurting people. No, they're killing your agents that are trying to destroy and subvert their government. That's what they're doing. They're terrified that they're going to end up like Afghanistan and Iraq and Syria. That's why they're doing that. And they shut it down.
That's why
they did. The protest didn't last long.
That's why they shut down the internet, so that the Mossad operatives couldn't coordinate. And then when they tried to bring the Starlink in, they intercepted that as well. And the Chinese, they used the Chinese and they shut down all the Starlink. Yep. They shut that shit down as well. So and they were able to prevent it.
I just uploaded a video. It seems as if, though, Iran is one step ahead of Israel and the United States in a very subvert but obvious way. If you look into this stuff and you analyze it, it was first with the protest, and then it was with the missiles, and then it was with that death switch that we just mentioned. Now it's with the boots on ground. They're ready for everything. The only thing I don't see they can actually combat,
the Chinese and Russian intelligence, the Chinese and Russian
air defense,
intelligence,
and then the Russian intelligence helping them out. The Russians are saying, go here and bum this fucking military site or this missile defense system, and then the Chinese are giving them the radar technology to be able to see these strikes coming and hide their missiles accordingly, as well as the fact that Iran has nothing to lose. They understand that this is a war with their back against the wall. They're going to deploy all of their most deadly assets or all of their most deadly military munitions, and it's going to be felt. So it's just a losing war in terms of the political gain, in terms of the influence that we have on the world, our moral high ground with Russia and Ukraine. We lose all of it when we do these things like bomb campaigns and kill 170 plus schoolgirls inside of Iran and then blame it on Iran as if they would need a false flag, because Iran needs a false flag to justify a war with America. Like, the whole country isn't shouting death to America. Why the fuck would you have to kill 170 schoolgirls when your country's shouting death to America? You know, the whole point of a false flag attack on your own people is to get them to go, hey, we want to attack those people. They already are saying that, right? Like, if you look at Northwoods with Kennedy, he wanted a reason to take over. He wanted a reason to take over Cuba, and so he needed some sort of charged up reason for the American people to hate communism and want to defeat the Soviets and the Cubans. And so that's kind of the science there. But that doesn't exist in Iran. They already have more than enough reason to justify the IRGC and going to war. You see the people charged up in the streets. So it's just this whole really sloppy way of trying to cover up and be covert about us serving another country's interests. And it's gotten disgusting. And it honestly draws some frustration for myself and Myron, because we work so hard to give you guys the steps in a linear and chronological order so there's no gaps. And we show you where Pete Hegseth is strategically stepping over the facts to try and fool you. And that's bullshit, because America is for the people. This is our country. So we're not going to be fooled by politicians. We're going to be educated. So when a politician says something wrong, when the Secretary of War says something wrong, we can understand that our country is being controlled by another force, and we can call that out. That's the only way things will change. So, you know, I don't mean to go crazy and spaz out, but it's just
you need to know this shit, man.
No, it's just a response to all the. I think the Mike Pompeo thing is like, of everything, it's the biggest smoking gun. I don't know if you see anything that's even worse than that, but I think that's the biggest
that's the biggest smoking gun, because like that is a big. Then they turned off the internet and the riots stopped. Mm-hmm. If it was real riots, right? Why would they need to coordinate with the internet? Think about that, guys. Here's like, after the riots occurred in early January, the first thing the government did, because they suspected it was foreign intelligence intervention, they turned off the internet. When they turned off the internet, the riots pretty much stopped. If there were natural organic riots because people were pissed off, they would continue on. They stopped. Then they got busted smuggling in a bunch of Starlinks, which the American government admitted to being involved in. And the Chinese stepped in and they turned that shit off. So like, this is all facts that the Zionists don't want to admit. This is all facts that's not being covered in Western media. And they're lying all this to manufacture and justify a lie. They did this before with 9/11 to justify the war in Iraq. And we're here catching it real time for you guys, so you guys know that Western media is lying to you. And here's where we are now, right? I retweeted this earlier today because I thought this was a very good tweet. And let me go ahead and show this to you guys, because this is super important that I want you guys to see this. Right? We got here. Trump has three options left in Iran. All three are catastrophic, right? So option one, retreat, pull out of Iran completely, lose the Middle East forever. Israel left to fight alone against Iran, Hezbollah and proxies on every border. America looks to weaken China, Russia, and every enemy watching. The dollar's oil backing is gone. Now, why is this bad also, guys? Because I guarantee you guys, if, not even guarantee, I'm pretty confident that if the United States leaves the Gulf, I don't think the Gulf states are going to let the United States rebuild their military infrastructure in the Gulf to the same capacity ever again. Because now they're realizing that if they retreat, well, that leaves the Iranian regime in place. If the Iranian regime stays in place, military bases being in the Gulf is a national security risk. Why are they going to have those military bases there as a national security risk when clearly the United States can't even protect them? So they're going to tell, at best, look, United States, you guys have to pull out of here militarily, or you guys cannot have the same level of presence here, because we don't want to get bombed by the Iranians anymore. And you guys got to remember, the people that are suffering the most, the people that are taking the biggest L from this situation are the Iranians. Are the Gulf states. And the reason why the Gulf states are taking the biggest L is because they're losing in every single way. Why are they losing in every single way? They're losing in every single way because their tourism is down, huge part of their economy, and their energy infrastructure is down. They can't even ship out the oil that creates a larger of their revenue. So they're getting fucked from both sides.
Bahrain just got hit as well. About 40 minutes ago, Bahrain's oil refinery just got hit.
So as they hit Iranian infrastructure for oil, what the Iranians are going to do? Okay, we're going to hit the Gulf states infrastructure. So you hurt our oil capacity. Now we're going to hurt the Gulf states oil capacity. So prices are going to continue to balloon. Guys, we're sitting at $90 a barrel right now.
Yep. And like we said before this started, it would go up to 100. We said that.
It's going to go up to 100. It's inevitable now. It's 100% going to go up to 100. And as more of these boats get struck that try to go through the Strait of Hormuz, and it shows that Trump's word is not as powerful as they think, he can't protect these boats coming through the strait, it's going to continue to shoot up. Yeah. We're going to get to, and if we get to 150 plus, it's already going to be, oh, we're at 110. Somebody just said we're at 114. There we go. Boom.
Yeah. Damn.
Like,
tough.
All right.
Yeah, what they're effectively doing is making the Gulf country. They're making the Gulf countries pay for the United States actions. And what better way to misalign our powerful Middle Eastern partners than to make them pay for our unnecessary onslaught of war? Hit their oil refineries, hurt their economy, make tourism unattractive. This is, again, another strategy that they've implemented very well. And I have to say, it's actually been effective. Go ahead.
I looked at the price this morning when I woke up to go to the airport when I was leaving Tampa, and it was around 92, 95. Now it's over. They're saying it's 110.
Yep.
So it probably shot up after that boat was struck.
And that strike in Bahrain, that's probably going to make a difference as well. It seems like they're systematically going across all of these oil refineries or depots across the Middle East. It looks like they're kind of attacking each and every one, or the most important ones. So, yeah. And the THAAD systems are down, so now this is the best time for them to do it. And I think that's kind of what Arakchi realized, or the foreign minister realizes, like, you know, should I really promise to stop attacking these Gulf countries when the THAAD systems are the weakest they've ever been in this entire war? Let me take advantage of this moment. It's a little bit more opportunistic than it was previously. So there we go. Yep. Oil prices have surged above $100.
Yep. This is really bad, bro. Yeah, WTI crude. Oh, my God. Yeah, WTI crude is 115. Brent crude is 116. Merben crude is 120. Yeah, bro, we're cooked, nigga.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you really start getting into serious problems when you get into the 150 range. Once you start getting into the 150 range, you really start running into some issues.
Gas is up 50 cents to $1 in some parts of the country, so it's already being felt on the ground. And I said that. I don't want to be Mr. I said this all, but we said this. You know, we said this.
Oh, John niggas, bro. We told you guys. And you know, what is Trump doing? He's doing some fucking coping bullshit. Let's go on Trump's True Social. He said something about this shit. Let's see here. Now, the SAVE Act. Okay, short-term oil prices, which will drop rapidly when the destruction of the Iran nuclear threat is over, is a very small price to pay for the USA and world safety and peace. Only fools would think differently. President Donald J. Trump. Yeah, this assumes that the Iranians are going to give up, though. They're not gonna. Unconditional surrender. Nigga, they're not giving up. Are you serious?
And that's also like another issue is if diplomacy is off the table, I think people might be confused when I say Iran has nothing to lose. They're fighting the United States and Israel. Arguably the strongest coalition force that the world could ever imagine, at least from a strategic standpoint, intelligence standpoint, and then military capability standpoint. They're guaranteed to, at some point, lose all of their influence and fall as a country, whether it takes a year, 100 days, 6 weeks. So they're going to let everything go because this is a losing battle for them. They're fighting uphill. I will admit that. But with that comes a danger. What's worse than fighting somebody or dealing with somebody or battling somebody that has nothing to lose? He's always going to deploy tactics that are far more extreme, violent, and vicious than that you would, because you maybe have something that you need to do after. You maybe have something that you need to look forward to after. You don't want to fight somebody. You don't want to deal with an entity that knows that they're going down because they're going to do everything to effectively bring you down with them. And that's what Iran has been proving they're willing to do. And he's inviting a ground invasion. I mean, imagine a foreign minister inviting a United States ground invasion. That's pretty crazy. It seems like they're already on that kind of martyrdom type of time.
Someone said, I live in the Caribbean at $7 a gallon. GG, nigga.
Oh, my God.
Yo, I'm sorry, bro. Yo. Sorry, dude. That's tough. $7 a gallon in the Caribbean? That's a wrap, bro. Holy.
Insane.
You niggas gonna have to start riding bikes.
That could be because of the fact of Venezuela being regime changed. I know the United States cut off a lot of oil supply to Cuba, but I don't know if other countries are grouped in that. I didn't take a look, but I know Cuba has now received the shortage.
We got to talk about Cuba too. We got to talk about Cuba as well.
The biggest crisis that they dealt with since the 1990s, ever since the collapse of the Soviet Union, and that's because of the shortage of oil from Venezuela. As you know, now we took control of their oil export, and we're cutting off all oil export to Cuba, and we threatened Mexico to not give them oil anymore. Otherwise, we'd impose some sort of consequence, maybe sanctions or something else. I'm seeing different reports. But so Mexico and Venezuela have stopped in their supply of oil to Cuba, and Cuba is losing power. They have a serious fuel shortage. The government is on brink of collapse. The people are really upset. And so there's a whole thing about Cuba that I was going to go over. I'm not sure if we'll have time today, but that is something that I want to talk about because that's a whole other set of eyes. I think Trump has a target on Cuba's back as well in terms of potential regime change.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Although, and look, this is how you know I'm consistent. or I'm fair, I'm not biased, regime change in Cuba is a lot more feasible than regime change in Iran. Like, that could probably happen, and that might actually happen diplomatically. But with Iran, you should know at face value that's not going to happen with any sort of peace agreement, with any sort of coming to the table and you stop your nukes and your missiles and your proxies and we'll lift sanctions. It's like, no, that doesn't work. So completely different situation, but we'll talk about that when that comes up.
Yeah. How much more time do you have? Because I know you got work tomorrow and shit. So how much longer?
We go for like another hour. I know you wanted to react to the Patrick Bet David. I want to see what he said as well.
Yeah. We could do that right now. Let me pull that up because
Cuba's a whole different beast. I want to go back to 59 with Castro.
We can do that
want to break all that down. Yeah.
We can. Let me see here. So,
and let me read some chats while we're pulling that up. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, let's see what we have here. And shout out to you guys in the chat, man. Appreciate the love. Like the video. Check out the other videos. Give those likes as well. Really appreciate all the support.
I'll save this on the side too.
All right. So, John says, Riyadh, let me send you my J-book. I DM'd you on Insta. My handle's... Okay, I see it here. I wrote a lot of stuff in there that mentioned... Okay, all right, I'll take a look at it. Like I said, I've been looking through my DMs, but there's a lot of people who have sent me messages, so I'll try and find that. Dan Straight & Co., $2. Thank you so much. Jeremiah, you got to put Myron on the brain rot. Okay, maybe. Catch'em Matol says, did you hear the claim that Tucker made about Mossad attacking the Saudi oil fields and trying to blame Iran, but the Mossad agents were apparently caught? Yeah, me and my brother spoke about that. Again, no surprise there, and that further vindicates me. RP Sniper, hit the like button. WStream WOSS, thank you, my friend. Dominicano, W Black Trump. Yeah, you got Black Donald Trump here. Tommy says, dude, your Trump is getting better each time. Keep it up. Your bro Myron cracking up. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Johnny Las Vegas, this guy's obsessed with me.
I'm taking a quick piss.
Go ahead. Johnny Las Vegas, there's zero indications U.S. or Israel will use a nuclear warhead. No, there's official reports on it. I have a friend in the NSA. This is an utter lie, more Muslim cope and propaganda. Okay, thanks for the $5, though. You're obsessed with me. Mike B. R9C, do you think Iran has nuclear weapons? If so, how does that change America's approach with attacking Iran? Why was I not paying attention? Do you think Iran has nuclear weapons? If so, how does that change? No, I don't think they have nukes. So if Iran is attacked with a nuclear weapon, they won't be able to respond. And that's why they were racing towards a nuke, for mutually assured destruction. See, here's the thing, guys. This is Political Science 101. This is very simple. But if a country has a nuke or a nuclear asset, then regime change is far more unattractive due to the fact that you're getting nuked if you try and remove that president or leader. That's why Iran wants a nuke. It's not to bomb the world and turn it into a parking lot. That's not the idea. The idea really is precisely they can guarantee their safety, they can guarantee their autonomy, their hegemony by knowing no one will attack them, because if you remove us, well, then we'll make sure we have a missile en route to whatever it is, whether it's Israel or the United States, whatever that might be. And that actually has to do with the Cuba situation as well, which I'll go over, because nukes were involved in that as well in regards to, the invasion, the Bay of Pigs invasion, and the Soviet Union getting involved. Okay, Ignacio Laros says, people think because there's Iranians cheering in the U.S., that's okay, as if there wouldn't be Americans cheering if they unalive Trump. They're mourning Ayatollah. Yeah. I mean, it's very simple to understand. Thank you for the super chat. Have you seen the NASDAQ futures and oil prices right now? No, but I bet you they've either tanked or they're super volatile. And that's from Char Banks. Thank you so much. And I said that. I said NASDAQ is going to go all over the place. Wall Street is going to have a hard time. Okay.
Caught up? Cool. We'll get into it, and then I'll read my chats after, so we don't just spam them. We're reading chats the whole time. Sure. And then also you only got an hour with you, so let's go. So here's the thing. So I guess this came out with BBC. Let's see this interview with the Iran ambassador real quick.
You'll pull that up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got it right now on Twitter. Pat reacted to this. It's only 3 minutes. Let's see here.
Your country is under attack, but your people have also been under attack. Since we last spoke, your government has killed thousands of its own people in the streets who had the courage to stand up to protest against the suffering that they have been experiencing at the hands of the regime. Thousands of people were killed. How on earth do you justify that?
Okay, that is true. I think if I'm not mistaken, 3,000. The Iranian government said it was 3,000 something that were killed. The U.S. government and the Western power said it was 30,000. It's probably somewhere in the middle, as with always, guys. Never believe either government that's involved in a conflict like this. You guys, the truth typically lies somewhere in the middle, guys. And this is a skill set that you guys can use anytime. You're trying to discern the truth from propaganda. So more than likely, it's somewhere in the middle. I don't trust either government, obviously, because you guys know the United States has and the Israeli government has an incentive to destabilize and overthrow, and then you guys know that the Iranian government has a incentive to make themselves a victim in this situation. So thousands would probably be correct. So let's see what he says.
Ambassador.
The Iranian side has their own problems due to the economic sanctions against us, and the Iranian people, unfortunately, has their own problems, in this matter. But I do believe, yes, now our people are in a very painful and sensitive period of time, but they are supporting the government against the foreign invader, foreign aggressors.
To say,
you see, if you go to the inside of Iran, you can see one solidarity, one unity among the people.
Ambassador, we would love to be able to report independently from inside Iran to see what is really going on.
Why not?
But we have seen much of what has gone on. Just this morning, I looked at many.
Well, they let CNN come.
Wait, so she said we would love to report independently from inside Iran, but we've seen much of what has already happened. But you just said you weren't there. Okay.
Yeah,
BBC
like what
is
the
trash.
fuck?
BBC is so
BBC
trash.
is trash. They are trash.
They're disgusting. They always perpetuate this disgusting propaganda that benefits you know who. I digress. Go
of the
ahead
images
before I
and
lose
watch
my
some
mind.
of the videos from what happened to protesters in your country in January. I looked at images and videos verified independently by our colleagues at BBC Verify that show body bags littered over the courtyard of a mortuary, the Karizak Forensic Medical Center in Iran. I saw images of young, old, teenagers, people killed by your government, beaten faces, bloodied bodies, gunshot wounds. How on earth do you justify that and sit there today saying, our people have some complaints? Your government killed thousands of their own people and the world saw that.
Laura, I recommend you to be very vigilant and delicate for
and our colleagues have verified those images independently, Mr. Ambassador.
Iran. Let me finish. And so I do not want to say that we do not have any problem. No. The problem there are in our country, but you see that how to address these kind of problems according to the Iranian laws and regulations, it's a very important. And the other than without any interference of the foreign countries against Iran.
This was not about foreign interference.
This is not about foreign. Come on, bruh.
It's about your own people taking to the streets to protest against it.
Two things can be true at the same time. It can be true that there was a significant amount of foreign interference, and there was also violence from the government on civilians. I'm sure, and here's the other thing too that no one's talking about. A lot of police officers died. A lot of medical personnel and emergency service people died from these agitators. Now, with that said, a lot of innocent people died as well. It was obviously horrible. But both parties definitely bear some responsibility here.
Also, the foreign interference exacerbated the problem, which probably resulted in more civilian casualties. So that's a whole other aspect that I'm sure she doesn't cross her stupid, dim-witted fucking brain. But
she's not even acknowledging it. Let's see if she even acknowledges the foreign interference. Let's see here, because if you won't even concede that there was foreign interference, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah,
I cannot take.
Well, you're arguing in bad faith at that point.
Yes, like I can't even have a discussion with you. And guys, this is why I tell you, Nick, is not to argue politics, because so many people are misinformed. Like, if someone says that they won't even acknowledge that there was foreign interference when there's irrefutable proof that there was foreign interference. I just showed you guys my Pompeo tweet. I could show you guys the Israeli media where they admitted that there was foreign interference, by the way.
There's more. There's so much more.
There's more. There's more. I'm just showing you guys a little bit so I don't fucking put you guys to sleep. But me and Riyadh did a whole deep dive on this where we showed you guys the Israeli TV side too. Me and my brother watch all media. We watch American, Western in general, Iranian TV, Al Jazeera, Middle Eastern. We watch Israeli TV. We watch it all. So if you won't even concede that there was foreign interference when the America admitted that there was foreign interference with sneaking in these fucking Starlink devices. They admitted it. If you won't even concede that, I can't talk to you. You're a retard. You're literally a retard. So let's see if she even acknowledges that. Let's see.
To the Iranian laws and regulations. It's a very important. And the other than without any interference of the foreign countries against Iran.
This was not about foreign interference. This was about your own people taking to the streets to protest against their suffering. And if you had nothing to hide, why?
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Completely dishonest, disgusting, bad faith journalism.
If you had nothing to hide, why not allow people to report freely and fairly?
Because the internet now using as a military devices against the Iranian security.
Yeah, of course they sent this guy who like doesn't even speak good English, so she could just walk all over him and run laps around him. But
yeah.
Be very delicate regarding for the Iranian circumstances and condition in Iran.
Our colleagues at BBC Verify have checked all of that incredibly carefully, and that is why we wanted to put that to you today, Mr. Ambassador.
Fuck her.
Wow.
Fuck her. Fuck her.
Yo, are we gonna?
And by the way, the whole point of a coup d'état, the whole point of CIA intervention inside of a country is to exacerbate the civilian death count, so there can be a further justified reason to effectuate regime change. It is like that's the whole point. It's like right over her head. It's like, hey, if there's foreign influence, which by the way was confirmed by the former director of CIA, somebody who works closely with Trump, somebody who was a former Secretary of State, he said there were Mossad agents walking along the protesters, walking alongside them, which means they want to increase the violence. They want to increase the catastrophe. They want to increase the attacks from the IRGC so more civilians could die, so we can effectuate or justify that attack or that intervention that we did on Saturday that much greater. But if you don't acknowledge there's no foreign interference, then there's no, like, the conversation can't be had. You honestly, you argue with an idiot, you become dumber in and of itself. Like,
look at this,
just
look,
so
Western
frustrating.
media right here. Wall Street Journal. U.S. smuggled thousands of Starlink terminals into Iran after protest crackdown. The Trump administration has denied fomenting public unrest in Iran, but the operation shows it has provided covert support to anti-regime efforts. Come on, bro.
Yeah, bro.
Come on, bro.
In your face.
I'm pulling this out of fucking Normie News, bro. Normie News. Like, at this point, like, look,
because
bro,
with
like, come on, man.
With a lot of coup d'etat,
Are you
with
serious?
a lot of revolution that we try to invoke in certain countries. By the way, the United States, like, again, this is why it's important to understand history. In Latin America, in Puerto Rico, in Cuba, in Europe, we've done this hundreds of times, if not several times, where we send the CIA in, we charge some revolution, we overthrow the leader, we get the people charged up, we cause a problem that doesn't exist, so we can we can interject U.S. interested, or rather U.S.-backed leadership in these countries. We've done this in several countries. Check the history. Throughout the 60s and the 70s, that's why the United States is the most powerful country in the world, and no one can even test our power, because this is what we do so well. If you understood history, then you would know this is exactly what we're doing in Iran, as the signs are clear-cut in front of you. We live in 2026 now. You don't have to be a conspirator putting on your tinfoil hat, trying to interview different people to get these answers. You can Google search it like my brother just did and see the United States smuggled technology into into Iran to effectuate this. So it's like, not only is it obvious, but if you have a thorough understanding of history, this is the United States specialty. We're the best at it. Although we're losing our skill at it because it's becoming increasingly obvious it's for somebody else.
And also, guys, keep in mind, after World War II, right, trench warfare, we lost 70, 80 million people. They said never again. So this created the rise of intelligence agency. This is why the OSS switched over to the CIA.
Yep.
Okay? And we switched from, conventional military warfare to proxy warfare, clandestine operations, assassinations, etc. And this is where the United States and the Israelis literally excel. Shout out to you, Flaming Heron, with the gifted sub. And then Head Honcho says, do you think we will see more divisive planning like we've seen in recent news in the U.S.? Of course, bro. So look at this. This comes from the Gray Zone, Max Blumenthal. So we have the Wall Street Journal that confirmed it, and then also independent journalists like Max Blumenthal.
Through a hearing of a House Oversight Committee.
Yes, this came from a hearing, guys, under oath.
In U.S. Congress today, that an organization called the National Endowment for Democracy, which is funded by the U.S. government, which exists to promote regime change around the world by sponsoring so-called civil society groups, media, activists, training, journalists, funding political parties, has now identified Iran as its top target. And its president today was asked about an apparently secret State Department program by the ranking Democrat.
Oh, and just so you guys know, State Department is often a cover for the CIA. CIA operatives always give you State Department cards, FYI. That's one of the telltale signs they're a spook.
Democratic chair of this House Oversight Committee to smuggle Starlink into Iran. And he declared that the National Endowment for Democracy had already deployed 200 Starlink terminals into Iran.
We've been investing in communication tools over years that allow for information to be sent into Iran, even when internet connectivity is blocked. We specifically began supporting the deployment, the operation of about 200 Starlinks early on.
All right, you know what? I'm going to interrupt.
And just so you guys know, Starlinks are illegal in Iran. They're illegal in Iran. So
we better not talk about it. Okay. So,
I wonder why.
Interesting.
Like, nigga, how much more proof do you guys need? I'm telling you guys, bro. Me and my brother are untouchable on this topic. Okay? Like, I think we're giving you guys, if anyone tries to sit here and say you niggas just sit for Iran or some bullshit like that, like, shut the fuck up. Yeah. Like, we have facts for everything that we're talking about. It was... the whole protesting shit was an astroturfed intelligence operation run by the United States and the Israelis. It failed. They tried to use it to justify an invasion. It failed. They tried to smuggle in Starlink. It failed. The reason why the Iranians turned the internet off is because there was an intelligence operation to agitate and try to overthrow the government through the ruse of a protest, and it fucking failed. That's why they turned the internet off. And the fact that the BBC won't even acknowledge this with this irrefutable proof that we're showing you guys goes to tell you guys that the BBC is probably owned by Jews. I wouldn't be surprised if they are.
Yeah.
But sorry, yes, bro?
No, it's just remarkable that people don't understand this, but that's why it's important that we talk about these topics and go over this in thorough detail. But yeah, I mean, and again, as I've said, this is just Iran being a step ahead of the United States. We kind of had the same tried and true method for several years, which is we try and launch a revolution doesn't work, then we just attack the country and force a regime change. So that's what we're doing now. But Iran is going to prove that's going to be a lot more difficult than we thought it once was.
Yeah, and it's funny that Patrick posted this, and it's like this interview doesn't do shit. Like, this isn't a got you. Yeah. And the fact that she won't even concede that the Iranians were being targeted by intelligence operatives when there's irrefutable proof that was, just shows that she didn't do her. She went ahead and did all this journalistic investigation on the dead bodies and all this other shit, but she didn't even do the journalistic investigation to figure out the fact that there was also a significant intelligence component to this altercation. Both things can be true at the same time. Did the Iranians kill innocent citizens and it was a travesty? Of course. But we also must understand that there was an intelligence operation going on. There were agitators going on. They turned the internet off for a strategic purpose to stop the agitators from being able to communicate. In response to that, they smuggled in a bunch of Starlinks, and it was just proven and fucking under oath publicly that it was an intelligence operation. Incredible. Incredible. The BBC is a bunch of fucking retards. But anyway, let's go ahead. So this is Patrick Ben David talking about this. It's kind of funny. You look at the comments, right? And these guys are just ratioing him all over the place. Like, look at, I mean, Jackson Nickel, 18,000. Did this show say one word about the 170 plus schoolgirls Trump killed in Minab, Iran? Holy, bro. Niggas calling it goy slop, just like, and absolutely ratioing is bad. But anyway, let's watch it. Let's react to it. And we'll give some, we'll be fair. We'll give it like, if Patrick is right, we'll say he's right. If he's wrong, we'll say he's wrong. You guys know I get along with Patrick. What's that you said?
Just reset your camera on Discord really quick. Click the camera.
Oh, it froze?
Button.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Literally turn it off and on. It'll come right back.
Okay, got it. All right, there we go.
We got you back. Go ahead.
So let's go ahead and get into this.
Experts and scientists, it's at 85 seconds to midnight. It's never been this bad. So everyone's wondering, could this turn into a possible...
I'm a numbers guy. I'm a numbers guy. 85 seconds to midnight. Let's take a look. Let's see what's happening on the ground in Iran. All right, go ahead.
Nigga been working on the PBD fucking...
that was the first time I ever tried that.
Big nuclear war.
Oh, shit.
And when has a regime change worked? When has a regime collapse worked? When we hear about regime changes, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Today, I'm going to talk to you about the 8 possible consequences of how this war could end, from worst case scenario to best case scenario.
All right, let's fast forward
Let's get right into it.
You know what? We should.
Let's see if he's going to be honest.
Yeah. We'll see.
Regime change versus regime collapse. What's the difference? So regime change is you depose existing government of another country and replace it with new leadership. So, for instance, back in the days, Mossadegh was the leader in Iran. He decided to nationalize all the oil. It affected all the oil to other countries around the world. BP was in there. They came in and said, no, we're not going to be doing this. Let's bring the Shah of Iran. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi shows up in 1953.
Very important that you guys understand this. So Mossadegh, right? nationalize the oil. That basically means that the government took control of it so that private institutions wouldn't profit off of the nation's, resource. And a lot of the times when you nationalize the oil, you make yourself a target for, stronger, more military powerfully countries. So this obviously put Mossadegh in the hit list of the British.
Yep.
And then obviously we're allies with the British and Israel, being a new country in the region. They needed allies in the region because nobody wanted them there. So Israel also had a vested interest as well. So why did we get involved? So Mossadegh, right, nationalized the oil. Brits said, hell no, we want access to that oil. So they overthrew him. We're allies with the Brits. We have access to the oil as well. We're involved. And then the Israelis had a vested interest because the Israelis needed an ally in the area. Iran was the first Muslim majority country to recognize Israel as a country, guys, after the Shah took over when Mossadegh was overthrown during Operation Ajax. So it's very important for you guys to understand that this distrust and dislike of the United States has been going on for a very long time because we've been involved in intervening in their political structure since the fucking 1950s.
Yeah, 1953.
That's regime change. Iran, for the most part, in the Middle East becomes peaceful for the next 26 years. But
debatable. There were a bunch of conflicts going on at the time in the Middle East. Obviously, we have the Yom Kippur War, the 6-Day War. You have
all the Arab-Israeli conflicts. You have Israel-Palestine. You have all of this tension that the West is trying so hard to remedy, as well as the fact that there were pockets of power in Iran at the time during the Shah regime that were trying to overthrow him too. So there was some discontent from the public of Iran with the Shah regime and the prior one, and so those started to culminate during Ajax and following the Islamic Revolution in '79. But I'm sure he's going to explain that.
And it's not. People talk about how the Shah was, they talk about the Islamic regime being super evil and killing people, which is true. But make no mistake about it, the Shah also had he had a brutal internal police force. What's their fucking name? Let me get their name.
Go ahead, pull it up.
Yeah, I forget their name. Shah Internal Secret Police. And these guys would basically, their job was to go out, guys, and just, okay, there we go, Savak, there we go. Yeah, these guys would go out and literally just kill dissenters. This was their job. The Savak. Here they are right here. These guys were fucking brutal, dude. Okay. So nobody is really has clean hands in this situation. But
collapse is what happened with rapid breakdown of a government where leaders lose the ability to control the state, leads to power structures falling apart. In 1979 in Iran, that was a regime collapse. Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi, monarchy, he's running the country, boom, replace him with Khomeini, Islamic Revolutionary Guard. That's a complete collapse. So the first one is a change, the other one is a collapse. Now let's continue. Regime change. Iraq, 2003, regime change. Planning, strategic. Who drives it? Foreign governments, coups. Cause, deliberate removal. That's what they did. Hey, let's get this guy out of here. That's a regime change.
Well, but why?
Yeah.
Israel needed Saddam Hussein out of there.
Strategically stepping over the key pieces of context that lead you to the conclusion.
Super important. Important. Why did that regime change happen, bro? Like, it happened because the Israelis needed Saddam out. Netanyahu flew all the way to the United States, testified under oath. I'll never forget infamous words. If you take out Saddam, you're going to have positive reverberations all across the region. Mm-hmm. So
collapse. Soviet Union. What happened back in the day? Say, Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall, or communism. It was so chaotic. Everybody was worried about communism.
It's fine. He's defining terms right now, so he's probably not going to go into the details. But I think for the audience, for your guys' purposes, it's important to understand why the Iraq war happened.
Being accepted by said though, but let's see.
Everybody,
we'll see. We'll give it a chance.
No, we cannot have this communism thing be a massive thing that people accept. We got to get rid of this. They did. Iran Revolution, we talked about. The planning, super chaotic. So if we're going through the collapse, super chaotic, citizens, economy, military defection hasn't happened to Iran fully yet. The citizens, yes, but military turning against the government saying, listen, I can't support you anymore. And then obviously the internal breakdown. That's Iran, by the way, Venezuela. What just happened with Venezuela, Maduro? It's somewhat-ish a regime change, even though his VP is still there. It is an ish regime change. But let's continue. When you look at this, regime change methods, Number one is direct military action. Number two, covert operations, secretly funding, like not necessarily a proxy, but secretly funding, training, or inciting opposition in country. And
it's important that you guys understand this is the main methodology that's utilized nowadays, especially after World War II. Okay? The world learned that big world wars is just not beneficial and the casualties are way too high. Yep. So covert operations are the best way to go because it creates what's called plausible deniability. And plausible deniability is the name of the game when it comes to modern warfare. You utilize intelligence agencies where you have that level of cover, and then you also utilize proxies. Okay, yep. We do it. Iran was doing it. Multiple countries do it all the time, especially big powers that have nuclear capabilities. They don't want to get into a situation where they're fighting another world power that has nuclear weapons. So what ends up happening is they use proxies to effectuate what they want.
A good example of that is the Bay of Pigs invasion, where the United States actually hired 1,500 Cuban exiles trained by the CIA to launch some sort of coup d'etat or revolution in Cuba. It failed miserably. They were caught. Yeah, they were caught. But JFK came out and denied any sort of affiliation with it or kind of brushed it off to the side and put it under the rug. So this is an effective way of
he didn't give them the air support. He didn't give them the air support, and that made them really pissed off. That actually that was a component of him getting killed.
Yeah.
Was because he didn't give them the air support that they wanted because he needed that plausible deniability. If he gave them the air support, it would be obvious there was American intervention.
Exactly. So that's kind of the whole covert operation example. Go ahead. Sorry.
Diplomacy, sanctions,
and like kind of in modern history, correct, from the 60s.
Sure. Yeah. That's documented and declassified now.
Yeah.
That's openly available.
It goes rarely works, but we use that card every once in a while. Why does U.S. do regime change? One, containment, domino theory. Example, Cold War, enemy communism. Communism, if it would have spread and that ideology that was spreading would have won, it would have been bad for everybody. It would say, well, you know, we need to kind of go through the system. They had to put a stop to it. I believe that was the right move. Number two, protecting economic interests, ex-Panama, 1989. Number three, preemptive strikes, Bush Doctrine. Preventing terrorism, example, the Great War.
All right. Yeah, this is where the answer is wrong,
you don't understand. They have weapons of mass destruction.
It's fine. He's describing what they you know what I mean, what they used as the excuse. You know what I mean? That's fine. Right now he's defining it. I'm going to be charitable here. He's defining it, right? Of what it is. At least what we know what the war on terror really was, right? It was about removing Israel's enemies, but it's fine. Let's keep going.
We had weapons of mass destruction. That is something that a lot of military guys that went to fight over that lost their buddies like, wait a minute, you will never get me on this ever again. Which makes sense. And then number four, liberal interventionism, stop human rights violation. It's not fair what you're doing to people, and that's a whole different approach. Now,
and here's the other thing, liberal interventionism, that is a ruse that's typically used to justify some other strategic reason.
Yeah.
Okay? For example, I'll give you, we have one right now. Trump said, if you go ahead and you execute those guys, we're going to invade, we're going to attack you. Right? You think Trump gives a fuck about Iranians getting hung? No, he never did. If he did give a fuck about Iranians, he wouldn't put these crippling sanctions. But they will use the ruse of humanitarian intervention to justify a strategic intervention.
Number one, coercive actions using CIA for
This is geopolitics 101, guys.
Psychological warfare, which, by the way, it's happening right now in a big way. Funding opposition groups, orchestrating.
We've done this all the time, funding opposition groups. We're the kings of funding opposition groups. We did it with the Mujahideen and Osama bin Laden against the Soviets. We did it in the Iran-Contra. We did it against, with funding what was going on in South America. We are the kings of funding. Yeah, we did it in Syria. We did it with Ahmed al-Shara literally just now. Yep. Trump let it slip and said, I put Ahmed al-Shara in power. Like, come on, bro.
He's a strong guy. He's young. He's handsome. I like him. He's got a rough past, but I think Syria's got a good future. I think they got a good guy now. So,
military,
like you didn't fund him. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, he literally said, I basically put him in.
Yeah,
he said it.
Yeah, Trump slips up a lot. Iran, he's getting old.
He be
Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, I could imagine. The CIA nigga's got to be fucking punching the air in the back though.
When Trump is giving his briefings on the Air Force One, I can't remember everything, of course, now that I'm talking about it on the spot. There are so many instances where Trump says something and you go, did he just say that? It's like, he was not supposed to say that. Like Trump, his cognitive decline is very apparent these days. Like he's losing it. Like he says shit I know he's having talks about, like, hey, Mr. President, you can't say that. Like, let's see. Can you find that statement on al-Shara?
Yeah, I'm trying to find it right now. Al-Shara. Put him in. Bro, like,
He
I
also
know.
did it with this war now when he was talking in the White House in Washington.
Oh,
He
okay,
said-
here we go. I got it.
I essentially put there, so I don't want to spend a lot of time, but all I can say is that the president who I essentially put there, so I don't want to spend a lot of time, but all I can say is that the president of Syria, who I essentially put there.
Like, come on, bro. And guys, the reason why that's big is you might think, okay, what's the big deal? He put a president into place. Like the United States does that all the time. Ahmad al-Shara, formerly known as Mohammed al-Jawlani, was a terrorist wanted by several international communities, as well as I think the CIA had a bounty on his head, or the FBI had a bounty on his head of millions of dollars. This guy worked with Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, which is the Al-Qaeda front in northern Syria. This guy worked for, or his group then graduated to become Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. He graduated to several different names to try and covertly walk away from the idea of him being like this mujahid, jihadist kind of terrorist. And he fought in the Iraq war against Americans. Now, whether you want to say he was a terrorist or not, it's I suppose if somebody's Muslim, they'll say, yeah, but
guarantee he killed them.
There is no doubt this guy was like an adversary, quote unquote, for the United States. And the fact that Donald Trump said, well, you know, we put him in power says a lot about what we do in Syria. That kind of vindicates everybody who speculated that we funded ISIS and we funded all these other militant groups. What do you mean we put Ahmad al-Shara in power? That vindicates everybody who says Obama and Clinton's were actually giving ISIS money in 2015 in Libya and in Syria. So, I mean, again, and this is like the slip-ups that Trump has that makes it easier for people like us to piece together these speculative theories that we have.
Bro, it's hilarious because it's like, he said, I could imagine like his intelligence, like, you know, director of CIA, Ratcliffe, all these niggas are probably like,
yeah,
like, yo, they gotta be, them niggas are punching the air, bro. They're like, yo, what the fuck, man?
Yeah,
and they can't tell him nothing. They can't tell him. He could literally say, shut the fuck up, I'll fire you.
Dude,
like,
just
they can't tell him
in
shit.
Washington, I don't know if I'll be able to find it, but just recently in Washington, he said,
well, we're at war because we have to protect Israel.
He said something like that along those lines. I swear
Yeah,
we just reacted to the clip.
Here.
Yeah,
No. I'll tell you right now.
He tells on himself. It's like really bad. And I think it's because the guy is almost 80. You know, he's kind of losing his marbles. Because Trump used to be much sharper. If you paid attention to him speaking in his prior administration to this one, there's a disconnect. There's like a lack of caring. And you notice that with old people. They just start to say shit.
Yeah, he just doesn't he just doesn't give a fuck anymore. It's when he had a purple tie, I remember. It was I think it was this day, but Trump table, Iran panel. Here we go. It was this one right here.
Yes. Yes.
It was this. It was here. He said it, but I just got to find the clip. Roundtable Spark. Okay, let me see if I can find it.
I mean, it's never been like this. We broke 50,000 on David Rosner. You and I weren't surprised. Thank you very much. Building new
go to
power
the comments.
stations,
Somebody probably put the timestamp.
Yeah. Let me see here.
What's that called? Roundtable?
Yeah, it's called the Roundtable. Trump. Let me put Trump Roundtable. Let me try Iran. Oh, the fuck. Unless someone has a timestamp there, but he said it here. You know what? Roundtable. Let me put Israel. Let me try it. Let me try.
He said it all right.
No, he did. He did say it. I'm just trying to find. Yeah, he just lets it rip, bro. He doesn't give a fuck anymore, bro.
Yeah. Well, you know, he can't win again, and he knows he's cooked in midterms. So.
And I could tell, like, his advisors and shit like that, bro. Their buttholes got to be fucking clenched every time this nigga's answering questions
Every time he
on Air
opens
Force
his mouth.
Ones and shit. Like,
Even
they're like,
Pete Hegseth kind of had to, and even Pete Hegseth, when Trump had said,
well, that wasn't us. We didn't hit that school. That wasn't us.
And then Pete Hegseth was like, well, we're investigating. So I was like,
yeah,
wait, what do you mean?
And the niggas
What do you
find
mean?
out, it was like,
Donald
no,
Trump is
missiles. What are you talking
yeah,
about?
Donald Trump, because Pete Hegseth knows, like, oh, why is he saying that? That was our munitions that hit the school. Like, everybody knows it was us. So you can see that. I thought that was funny as well. If you guys didn't see that clip, I can show you guys too. But
if somebody has a clip or the timestamp, bro, like anyone, if you have the timestamp, please put it in chat. Maybe they might put it in your chat, Riyadh.
Let's
but
see.
he admits here, but you know what? I could probably find it on maybe if I find it on X. Let me
I
see,
looked on
here.
X
Search.
already.
You did?
Here, while you're looking for that, look at this. This is hilarious.
Oh, here. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Got it? Go ahead.
I found it. Yeah. X is the best one, this shit.
Years they've been killing our people and killing people from all over the world, and I think we have great support. And I think if we didn't do it first, they would have done it to Israel and give us a shot if that was possible.
Like what? Way to tell on yourself. Also, check this out right here.
I hate being right all the time.
Pull up my screen.
Mr. President, did the United States
Here, let's turn this up for you guys.
bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Yo, look at Hegseth. Yo, look
Yo,
at
Hegseth is like, Hegseth is in the back like, what are you saying? What are you saying? Stop saying that. What are you saying? That was our missile. All the intelligence assets know that was our missile. What are you doing?
Yeah.
He's stressed, bro. Let me turn this up for you guys.
Yeah. No, rewind that shit, bro. As soon as that, because he's looking down. As soon as I ask about the school, that nigga looks up. And even look at Wickoff. Wickoff's like,
Did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 175 people?
Based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
What do you mean, in my opinion? What does that mean? In my opinion, I don't think we did it. What? You either did or you did it. There's no opinion there. Let it keep playing.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that? We're certainly investigating.
We're certainly investigating. Fuck. Trump's mouth is reckless. The guy is getting way too old, bro. The cognitive dissonance has taken full effect. Like, he is completely losing his marbles. You could he's getting to be 79 now, 80. So
yeah.
That was crazy.
As soon as they asked about the school, this nigga Hegseth looked up immediately and was looking at Trump like glaring at him, dude, as he's answering the question. And even Wickoff is in the back like, oh,
yeah.
Fuck.
And then look what Hegseth said.
Hegseth, it was Iran who did that? We're certainly investigating. Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran.
We think it was done. We think it was done by Iran.
Can you give us an idea?
Because they're very inaccurate, as you know, with their munitions. They have no accuracy
Unfortunately, their munitions are actually pretty accurate
whatsoever. It was done by Iran.
Yeah. So
okay, bro. We now confirmed that it was Tomahawk missiles, and the only people that have those pretty much are the U.S.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Tomahawk missiles are very fucking accurate. So that means that they put that school in the fucking coordinates, bro.
Yep.
It's a wrap. Anyway, let's get back to the PBD thing. Guys, you enjoying the stream, bro? Me and my bro are just dunking over here, all left and right. We're debunking.
Yo, we are. Every single time we make a claim, we back it up with evidence. We've done that the whole stream.
Yeah. So I hope you guys are enjoying the 1-2 punch, because like we literally have facts on facts, you know, for all the, and you know what? I love all you haters that say that we're like Iran apologists, because we're really not. It's just that our government is lying to us so much that we have to debunk the lies so it looks like we're Iran apologists. But it's like, bruh, you guys got to be able to understand the truth, that we're giving you guys the truth from both sides. We're not sitting here telling you guys that the Iranian regime is fucking innocent. Hell no. The niggas do bullshit too. Yeah. They've been lying all over the place. They said that they killed on day 3, they said they killed 160 soldiers. That was a fucking lie. They said, I think yesterday, that they killed like 200 something. That was a lie. They've been lying left and right as well. But their lies don't spread as far and wide, obviously, because we're in the United States. So
precisely.
we have to give you, we end up having to debunk American lies more because we're in the West. But if we're in Iran, we'll tell you all the niggas the same shit. We might get killed though if we did that over there, but who knows?
Yeah.
Right? So at least in America, we got freedom of speech.
Chile 73 with Pinochet. That's that. Number 2, conventional warfare, direct invasion, boots on the ground, Panama, Iraq. We're trying to avoid that with Iran, although we've had multiple leaders on Trump's administration that have said we have to keep all the options out there. We may need to use it. We don't know yet, right? But he doesn't want to use it. You've heard that. Okay, number 3, proxy warfare. Army training local insurgent groups to destabilize the government in Nicaragua in the 1980s. And some of the people right now are saying, well, wait a minute, the Kurds, what they're doing, isn't that kind of what you're doing? Are we giving them weapons? And They said, listen, we're not giving them weapons. Israel may, but we're not giving them weapons. So some of that. And then number 4 is economic coercion, right? Sanctions, trade embargoes intended to incite domestic unrest, which we have done to Iran for a long time. But this alone doesn't fully work all the time for regime change. So question becomes, has it ever worked? How often does it fail? Because you'll hear people say it never works at all.
Just as a quick note, sanctions are becoming less and less effective as time progresses, with the United States weaponizing them against several countries. We see that with Russia and others. So that's something to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, there's with the rise of BRICS and other financial instruments, people are countries countries are figuring out ways to get around the the chokehold, the financial chokehold that the United States has across the world. That's why people are getting away from the dollar. Right? Because people understand effectively that if you piss the United States off, they can cripple you financially. So there's been alternative methodologies to get around sanctions.
Always fails. Let's look at this. 5 examples of success, 5 examples of failure. And by the way, success doesn't mean 100%.
And Riyadh, whenever you got to go, just let me know, dude, because I know we're closing in on 2 o'clock.
Percent of work. It means whether there was a success short term, we were able to get rid of this regime. So that's a success. Whether it lasts long term, 10, 20, 30 years, that's a different definition of success. It all depends on how we measure success. So, for example, examples of success. Number 1, Operation Ajax. This was Mossadegh. He came in, all the major oil companies like, wait a minute, this guy wants to nationalize. He doesn't want to do business. We can't have a guy like this. Let's bring Reza Pahlavi. And he comes in, he stays for 26 years. And the rest is history. And during that time, when that was going on, of course, CIA was involved, MI6 was involved. A lot of people were involved. Guatemala, 1954.
Yeah, with putting him in power. The MI6 and everybody else. Keep in mind, guys, Western powers put him in power, and then the people got him out of power. That should tell you something.
Operation PB success, Chile, 1970.
Because when the Shah came in, he privatized the oil industry and gave full access to the West. Okay? And when you privatize the industry, the government doesn't really have control of their own resources. So what ended up happening is they said, fuck this nigga, and they threw him out. So the West put him in power, and then the people rebelled and took him out of power. That's very revealing.
73, Grenada, 1983, Operation Urgent Fury, not Epic Fury. And then 5,
Epstein Fury.
Panama, 1989, Operation Just Cause that they went through. These are successes at the time. Failures, Cuba, 61, Bay of Pigs. What happened? Cuba's still a communistic, which, by the way, if this goes through, you know what's going to happen with Cuba? Let's just say they succeed with Iran and they did with Venezuela. They're just going to go saying, hey, Cuba? Yeah. All right. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
You kind of move out the way.
Right.
You're going to be like Puerto Rico. And let's allow us to bring some hotels and kind of.
I literally said this before I came on with you. The regime change in Cuba is probably going to be one of the easier ones. So he's completely right in that.
Yeah.
Fix this place and tourism and all this stuff. Everyone's going to win. It's okay. Communism failed. No one's using it anymore. You no longer have China, Russia's.
And I was going to say, another reason too why we're probably emboldened to do this is because Russia's backing is like dissipated significantly because they have their hands full with the Ukraine.
Backing. Soviet Union is not there to back you.
And you know how we know this? Because they couldn't even give air support to Bashar al-Assad.
Yep.
So since they couldn't keep Bashar al-Assad in power.
In 2023, 2022.
Exactly. And yeah. So they knew, all right, we can probably do Cuba too. If we're able to put Ahmed al-Shara in, then we can definitely do it in Cuba, in our side of the hemisphere, because Syria obviously is significantly closer to right there. But to project the air power all the way in Cuba now, yeah.
They haven't been there for a while. What the hell are we doing? Let's move on. You start creating business, and that could happen anytime. Then we got Vietnam, 55 to 75, another failure. Afghanistan, probably the biggest failure. And then you got Iraq. Some people would call Iraq the biggest failure, but Afghanistan's on that list as well.
Well, here it's very important. Why were they so big failures? Because what is the similarity between Iraq and Afghanistan? You got a Muslim majority country that is not just fighting you for political reasons, but they're also fighting you for religious reasons. You have invasions. Invasions are almost always more difficult, right? And then you got war of attritions. The Iraq war with the Taliban, we're talking about decades where we were just bleeding money and time, and soldiers, we said, we got to get the fuck out of here.
And in Libya, we know how that one ended as well. So now, and so by the way, when we're looking at the whole Iran regime change, regime collapse, there's one thing I want you to pay attention to. So 1953, Operation Ajax. You know who was president? A Republican president, Eisenhower. Interesting. All right. So they came in, they're like, no, we're not going communism, we're going to go pro-capitalism. And then you have the 1979 revolution with the great blowback. President Carter, Democrat, he said he was going to help, he did not. What happened? Regime collapse, okay? Without, like, we almost kind of said, no, we're going to help you. No, we have your back. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great.
Pay attention
Boom.
to this.
We did nothing.
Pay attention to this.
IRGC came in,
there.
shit show.
Notice the pattern
since
there.
1979 because
when
of Carter.
We're not militarily involved. By the way, such a surprise that it's a Democrat, but that doesn't mean Democrats don't get involved in the Middle East. We have Obama. But when we're not military involved, Israel's in a bad space. When we're militarily involved, Israel gains a lot more power and hegemony. Obviously, in 53, what we did was in the favor of Israel. Obviously, we're effectuating a regime change that's going to be more aligned with them. And then in 79, we're hands off. Now an Islamic theocracy comes to power. That checks their power. Now we have checks and balances in the Middle East. Go ahead.
And in 2026.
Which is a good thing because I don't trust the Israelis.
Exactly.
Which is, and I talked about this on Propaganda & Co. yesterday, and shout out to Myron Gaines for clipping it. The reason why we don't want the Israelis to be the hegemon in the Middle East, guys, is because we can't trust them. Because they've already betrayed us when they need us. What do you think is going to happen when they don't need us?
Exactly.
They were involved in the assassination of a U.S. president, the bombing of a U.S. spy ship, 9/11, stealing secrets from us with Jonathan Pollard, right? Stealing a nuclear weapon. Like, they've done so many fucking bullshit things to us and betrayed us. They sell our secrets to the Chinese and to the Russians. So this is when they need us. What do you think is going to happen when they don't need us?
What's more?
If anything, you need the Iranians to check these niggas, bro. You need the Iranians there to check their power, strategically speaking. But anyway, go ahead.
No, great point. And what's more, let's grant the opposition or the rebuttal a little bit more grace. And let's say everything you're saying isn't true. They never betrayed us. Even then, the United States having the ability to be the decisive mediator in a region of two strong powers gives us power over both of them if we can straddle the line in the middle. If we don't have that ability to kind of tip our finger on the scale, then we lose a great deal of influence because now we can't offer protection to one side, a deal to one side, JCPOA here, we do something with Israel there. We lose that ability because now Israel has a wide open field to shoot their shot. So that's another thing. Being the decisive mediator in that region gives us so much more power indirectly. People don't notice that, but that culminates over time. That's something that we gained a benefit from in Syria, in Iraq, and all these other countries. At least we destabilized them. We caused these power vacuums, which wasn't good, but it helped us maintain our power because now there's no threat in the Middle East. And if there is, we have control over it like we do in Syria because now Ahmed al-Shara is aligned with the United States.
Absolutely.
Operation Epic Fury, Republican Trump. So if you notice, one side is like, well, we'll kind of work with you. We'll kind of, we'll do this and we'll be, no, Khomeini was more like a Gandhi. He's going to come and make Iran. So you don't want somebody like a Pahlavi who is all about wealth and money and all this stuff. It's the language. That's the propaganda part that works. So now, while you're watching everybody today debate this topic, whether you know it or not, everyone falls in one of these handful of camps that's out there. Let me explain to you what this camp is. First camp.
Okay, interesting.
Israel first Hawks. I don't care what happens. We have to have.
I wonder where Patrick puts himself in this category.
Israel's back no matter what. We've got to protect.
I want to see where he puts himself in this category, bruh.
If they're doing this, we got to go.
Where do you fall?
That's the Israel Hawk.
Who, me?
No. Where does Patrick fall?
Where does Patrick fall? Yeah,
he's gonna try and overcomplicate this. Like, there's several different positions and all these different ideologies. It's like, hey, bro, you either have the benefit of the United States in mind or you don't. But okay, we can complicate it. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. I'm actually interested to see what he's gonna put niggas at.
Number two is a Trump royalist. Hey, I think this is the right guy. I voted for this guy. I support this guy. I think he's doing the right thing. I support his decision, and I'm excited about what's going to be happening. I'm a little bit uncertain. I'm a little worried, but I'm supporting him. Number three is the establishment media. The main Fox, CNN, MSNBC. They're kind of like, well, Khamenei's a bad guy. Well, he kind of had to go. But Mark Kelly, I'm glad he was taken out. But, they're supportive, but they're still kind of like, what happened to the congressional? They need to go through Congress, a little bit of that. Then you have the America First. I can't believe you're doing this. This is crazy. Israel owns U.S. It's a puppet,
Yeah, that's pretty much us.
Bibi's running everything. I'm voting Democrat moving forward.
Okay, I know about that.
All right, that's a stab at. That's 100% a stab at Nick. 1 million.
Yeah.
At Nick.
I don't think I'm going to go vote Democrat, but we're definitely extremely Israel critical over here.
I'm going to. And that's the America First, some of the people there that are supporting that. And then you're going to have a radical left, the lunatics, you know how they are.
And the reason why I just can't vote Democrat is because, like, bro, like I hate the, you know, the female first agenda, right? And the wokeness and the minority first agenda. Like that shit pisses me off so much.
Complete. There's nothing he can do right. That's the radical left. And on the Iran side, you have one side that's supporting this. It's the majority. 80+% of Iranians are sick and tired of having a country being ran by a supreme leader.
Bruh.
Did he just say
okay.
80+%?
He said 80%. Now,
right.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is a very, you know what, let me hear out everything he says before I answer this.
They're done with that judgment. Leave me alone. Let me live my life. It's a different world we're living in today with social media where you can no longer hide. And no matter how many times you're trying to cancel the internet so we can't see what's going on with the world, we're sick of the way you've brainwashed us and manipulated our parents for decades. It's done. Get out the way. Then the small percentage that says, I don't know if I want, I don't know if I want to get to this one. I don't know about, and that's the part. Those are the camps. You pick and choose.
Okay. Let me be clear about this. Are a lot of people unhappy with the government of Iran? Yes, absolutely. A lot of them are. But they are not unhappy with the government to the point that they are willing to back the United States and Israel. And that's extremely important here.
Yeah.
Which is why you're not getting this uprising that the Trump administration was hoping for.
Very few people in Iran would agree to having an Israeli US-backed leader run their country. That is a greater evil than that of the current Ayatollah or IRGC regime.
Yes.
And by the way, the whole reason why that government struggles to please the people is because of the sanctions that we imposed on them for the benefit of the Israelis. So,
yes.
And that's something he's not going to mention. But again, key piece of context that all these guys who spin this propaganda always step over strategically.
Which one you're in and what you decide to be part of. But those are the 6 camps that we have right now. Now, let's cover this here. Okay.
Yeah, that 80% that he's talking about, they might be unhappy with the government, but not to the level that they're going to overthrow said government for the West.
And this one here got very big. And it is what could happen. 8 different scenarios of what could happen.
And you can make the argument, now that his son is in play, now they're going to approve the government more.
Potentially, yeah, because now they're charged up. Now they're all facing a common enemy. In attacking them and killing their leader, you did unite them. Like you said, if Trump got killed or if Biden got killed, regardless of your politics, that would cause some unity across the United States. Aside from the far radical leftists, a lot of people would go, hey, our leader just got killed by a foreign government. There's a bigger enemy
and the
here.
son is a hardliner. The son is far more of a hardliner than the dad is.
He seems to be more
son
extreme.
The son might repeal the fatwa with the nuclear weapons.
He could. Because that's the thing, it's religious. That's why it's a fatwa. So for the Iranians and the Shia Muslims, they look at the Ayatollah as like, this kind of religious prophetic leader. So whatever he says goes. So if he decides
Can you explain what a fatwa is for them, by the way? Can you, just so they understand?
Yeah, an Islamic fatwa is like a ruling. So a scholar or a mufti, somebody who has knowledge authority or authoritative knowledge over the people, who has learned for a long time, at least in Sunni Islam, he has the ability to give a fatwa. This would be somebody who is certified. He has the authorization to do it. So you ask him a question like, hey, is it allowed for me to do this? Or is it allowed for me to do that? And he will give you a ruling, or, whether it's right or wrong, this can be considered a fatwa. But in Iran and Shia Islam, they kind of go about it a little bit differently, where the supreme religious leader, again, it's a theocracy, can issue a fatwa just on speed dial, or like just on command like that. So for him, whatever he says is like gold. His word goes. So if that son decides that, all of his father's rulings or one of his father's rulings didn't stand, or they're no longer relevant, he can override that or abrogate that with a different fatwa, which would be like a religious ruling. I'm not sure what you can liken it to in Christianity, but you kind of get the idea.
Yeah.
From worst case to best case. What's the worst case? Samson option. Total nuclear destruction. First person, drops
he said
it,
worst
and then
case.
from
I'm
there,
sorry.
what? Let me just
said worst case, right?
Yeah, I think worst case, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
He gave Samson option.
If you're gonna kill me, I'm killing everybody with me when I'm going down, right? That's what I'm doing. Number 2, dark successor. So yes, we took out Khamenei. Yes, we took out 50 plus leaders. Yes, we took out all these different sites. But the next guy that comes is even worse than the existing guy
Could be the
that
son.
they have. Maybe it's not a nuclear war, but they stay but even a worse radical leader.
Did you say you want me to pause?
No. I said could be the son. He's talking about a darker successor being the second worst
Yes.
potentiality, and so that could be the son.
He recorded this before the son was put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably what he was probably alluding to the son.
Takes over Iran. Number 3 is the Syrification of Iran. Okay, this is fracture state. They're kind of trying to figure it out. And what are we going to do?
Pause here. This is Riyadh's prediction. This is I'll stamp it here. This is my prediction. I think Iran will turn into a new Syria. Let's keep going.
That's what you think? Okay.
I think
it kind of stays chaotic for a while, and everyone's kind of trying.
So you think effectively they're going to lose this war?
I think the United States will work for influence in a region that rejects them vehemently. I think the United States will try to work for influence. I think they'll have the strongest opposition group, but I don't think that they'll take full control and autonomy and hegemony over that country because it's just too large and there's just too many people who oppose Western values. So I can very easily see it becoming a new Syria.
Okay. Interesting take.
To figure out, and we're still kind of funding, trying to help out, but it can't stand alone on its own. Number 4 is the stalemate, status quo. U.S. goes to war for 4 to 5 weeks. We eventually run out of ammo. We run out of all these interceptors, and we're like, you know what, guys, let's just kind of finish it up. IRGC stays in power. Everything stays there, but stalemate. Nothing takes place.
That's
number 5. A military.
Sorry, I don't mean to keep going, but I just want to clarify this.
No, you're good.
That's arguably worse than the Syrian situation. Because he has the Syria parallel being ranked worse if it's this power vacuum with several different factions fighting for power being worse than that. No. If this reaches a stalemate, that's worse than that because the United States just lost. That's way worse. Symbolically.
Because we bleed out. We bleed out.
And we pull out, and the Iranian regime called our bluff. That's the worst case scenario. We can't pull out now. We'll look like pussies on the international stage.
Yeah, I mean,
and we'll charge up the IRGC. We'll charge up the Muslims.
I think that's the smart play.
No, it's 100%. I agree. It is the smart play. I'm just saying for Trump,
with Trump's ego,
how it's going to look from an optic perspective politically. Oh, that's the biggest L the United States is probably going to take in recent history. We attacked Iran. We bombed these schools. We hit this oil depot. We engulfed the sky in flames. It was dark. It was hell on earth. And then we just said, hey, guys, we're leaving. You win. Because if they can effectively resist us, this is what we saw with the Taliban in Afghanistan. They said we won. They planted a U.S. Hummer, a military Hummer, on top of a flag post. Like, that's the symbolic victory they have with us pulling out of their country and not effectuating a complete regime change. If we do that in Iran, that will be the biggest moral and symbolic loss the United States will receive since that of Afghanistan, but worse because this actually didn't even take a year. So that would not be good. That's probably one of the worst options next to the Samsung. Go ahead.
Keep in mind, the Gulf countries will probably kick us out if that happens too. Because now the regime is in power. They're more emboldened to attack them, so they have to get rid of the Air Force, the military bases. They can't let them stay there. We showed that we can't protect them, and then we have the bases there, which is why they got attacked. They got to tell them, guys, we'll still maybe do business with y'all niggas, but you guys can't have a base here no more, bro. This is a national security threat for us now.
Absolutely.
You guys have to leave. You're right.
The ROI is not there unless we try and beef up the air defense missile systems there, and we say, no, look, listen, next time around if this happens, we'll defend you, but that's more money. That's unnecessary. That could have been avoided. We could have stretched our resources a little bit thinner if we never got involved in this war. If the United States stalemates in this situation, that puts the biggest battery in the back of the IRGC, and that immortalizes them. They could resist the United States. I don't.
You know what?
As much as I want that to happen, I know how bad that'll make the country look. Go ahead.
And I think they'll move to destroy Israel after that.
Oh yeah, they're gonna mobilize. And if you thought they prepared well from the 12-day war, if this happens and they can walk away from it breathing, bruh, they're gonna make a nuke. They're gonna make a fucking nuke.
Yeah, they will.
Now I'm ran by the.
If they survive this, they're 1,000% making a nuclear weapon, bro.
Bro, they're going to make the biggest, fattest bomb ever known to mankind and just drop it suicidally if they ever get imposed again on their borders. Like, we cannot just stalemate this. We've started something we must finish for these strategic reasons that I've listed.
This is so bad, dude. This is so fucking bad.
The intelligence assets told Trump not to do it. U.S. intelligence told Trump, the Pentagon reported a few days ago, hey, Mr. President, you shouldn't do this, and if you do, we're going to have boots on the ground. So, again,
and even that's not a guarantee.
Yeah, it would have been smarter for us, like I've said, if we wanted to do this and Trump knew this was on his bingo card, that's fine. You should have did it in the summer. I get it. You're subverted. The donors got you. You got to do their bidding. why didn't you do it in the summer and make it a little bit more seamless? You attacked Iran when they had so much time to fortify their defenses. So, yeah, I think I would disagree with Patrick here.
The Israelis had to recuperate too. The Israelis had to recuperate.
Yeah, true. They're kind of they're Achilles heel for the United States militarily. But I would disagree with Patrick here to kind of tie it all together. I think that a stalemate is the second worst option to that of a Samson. Go ahead.
Military. Number 6 is the Persian Spring, citizen uprising, new government, kind of like what happened in 1979 with the revolution against the Shah. But the people come in, they're like, no, we're done with this. We got to do something about it. 7 is the Marshall Plan, similar to what we did with Europe. We decide to say, all right, the world, let's start investing into Iran. We're going to do this and we're going to fix this thing, economic recovery, heavy outside investments. And, just like.
Well, that would need a regime change.
We did with Europe. And by the way, Europe, they ended up spending around 100.
They would only do this with a Western leader in place. They would only do that with someone in that's going to be like cucked to the West. Go ahead.
Do you notice as he's going from worst to best, simultaneously, it's always going from most likely to least likely? Like the worst options are probably most likely aside from the nuclear war with Samson. And then the options that he considers are the best or, the kind of best ending here are the least likely, like a regime change in the world, invest into the country. It's very unlikely. And if it is, that's bad for the United States because we already said why. Go ahead.
$30 billion in today's money to $150 billion. But also, you know how much money we spend in Africa with the Marshall Plan? We've had nearly 50 plus or so Marshall Plans in Africa. You know how much money we've spent in Africa on Marshall Plans since 1960-ish? What do you think the number is? 200 billion? 300 billion? Why don't you fact check this? It's somewhere around $5 trillion.
God damn.
We've invested to try to fix Africa. That hasn't worked. So it'll work.
Because niggas are retarded.
In Europe, it's a heavy investment.
Oh my God, bro. Yo. We got to clarify, is that sub-Sahara or is that like what part of Africa?
It's got to be sub-Saharan niggas, bro.
Yeah,
Come on, man. We know something. It's not us, niggas. It's the click niggas, man. The spear chuckers.
Yo.
The world's going to want to be a part of it.
And I did not know that.
Yeah, them niggas are retarded, bro.
That's crazy.
The cheetah chasers.
It could happen, but it didn't.
That's
definitely didn't happen in Africa when that was going on. So Marshall Plan could be the last one, seventh one. And last but not least is the great bargain. Iran becomes cultural paradise. You go there, Frank Sinatra music playing in the back. If it happens, I'll be the first one celebrating. You know what else is pretty slim? Here's the other thing that's pretty slim. This guy here.
Well, I don't know if he's been keeping up with the news, bro, but they've mobilized nuclear assets already.
Yeah.
They mobilized a tactical nuclear plane, dude. So, yeah, I think they're starting to get desperate to destroy these missile cities, bro. And the bunker busters they have are not destroying these missile cities. Also, something interesting. This came out while I was talking with Ahmed. Apparently, there's a village 15 miles outside of Isfahan. The Israeli government told them, you need to mobilize, you guys need to get out. And that's 15 miles away. Ooh, what kind of bomb would have that level of fucking destruction?
That radius, that blast radius. Yeah, certainly a nuclear one. As well as the fact that I think the only other option the United States has besides a tactical nuke would be probably the B-2. That's the only one that can kind of penetrate these underground missile cities. But even then, I think it has to be perfectly accurate. And so it's so expensive. Accurate? It's so expensive. It just doesn't make sense for us to keep trying and testing different spots. And we would bleed so much money and probably actually effectuate no progress.
And we don't have enough of them.
Ground. Yeah.
And we don't have enough of them, bro. Like, we used a bunch of them for Fordell. So that's one thing. And then also keep in mind, the reason why they wanted to use a nuclear bomb is apparently when you drop the nuclear bomb in, the heat would cause the sand to almost like collapse onto the bunkers. So they would be trapped. That's why they're thinking about using the nuclear bomb, because it would change the entire chemistry of the sand in of itself, which would make it turn it into a tomb. That's why they want to use the nuclear.
Good. I did not know that. That's interesting. Okay.
That's why. Yeah. I was talking about this. I could get the clip when Ahmed was explaining it from Propaganda and Co. But the Israelis told it was like 15 miles away, saying you guys got to clear out. So what that radius is got to be nuclear.
Yeah.
Both of these are slim. We're going to end up somewhere around here. I am hopeful. I am rooting for this thing to get done properly. I think the sequencing.
And for those of you that are wondering, For those that don't know, PBD is a Zionist. He supports Israel. Totally hates the Islamic regime. Fan of the Shah. Not a fan of Islam. So,
Hates
just so
Islam.
you guys know,
Yeah.
he hates Islam. Yeah. So just so you guys understand his background.
On the way they did it, it's fascinating to me. If this is actually what they did, it's brilliant. So you mean to tell me your number one enemy is China, and China signed a 25-year, $400 billion deal with Iran. Russia is not negotiating with you to help you get the peace done with Ukraine because you said on day one, I will finish the war with Ukraine and Russia, and it hasn't happened yet. And Russia got the plans on how to build the Shahed drones that Iran's building for only $20,000, and now they're building their own drones. So they're like, hey, we kind of need Iran to be good. And so you mean to tell me U.S. first goes?
Well, the Russians have reverse engineered the Shaheeds now. They make them domestically. They've mastered it now.
And gets Venezuela first.
Yeah, they no longer acquire
so
them.
China 50.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, they don't need. Yeah, they don't need the Iranians really. Yeah, they make them. Yep. The Russians have completely industrialized it in house.
5% of the oil they rely on comes from Venezuela, and the other 85%, whatever that they get from the Strait of Hormuz, comes from Iran. And you mean to tell me those two all of a sudden are under control of U.S. So Venezuela's controlling here, and then you go and make the Supreme Court of Panama.
I knew. I'll let him finish. Go ahead.
Okay.
To get rid of C.K. Hutchinson, so China doesn't have any control in Panama Canal. If they retaliate, and then you go to Iran, and in the middle of this thing that's taking place, they're down missiles attacking by 86%, according to Wall Street Journal. You've taken out all these different places. Iran royally screwed up, attacked 10 other Gulf states, making enemies that are their neighbors.
They've always been enemies.
Yeah, I think that was a genius move to attack the Gulf states, actually.
It was. It put Donald Trump in a really tough position. He didn't expect it coming. And the Gulf countries have always...
warfare.
By the way, to debunk what he just said, they created enemies in the Gulf. Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, called Trump months prior to the attack, called Washington, called the White House and said, hey, can you hit Iran and can you make it fast? He wanted this war to happen. So this is in the favor
is that
of the
confirmed?
Gulf.
Because he's been denying that. Is it confirmed now?
That's confirmed. He's going to deny that, obviously, to show public face, because that looks bad. That looks really bad because it contradicts his public statements, which was that of, I want peace in the region. I want peace in the Middle East.
And they normalized relations in 2023 too. They did normalize relations.
They did, but the issue that Iran poses is the biggest threat to the region besides the proxy groups and everything. Yemen. As long as Iran exists and they have good military capability, Mohammed bin Salman can get his dream in Yemen, as well as the fact that if UAE is distracted by fighting Iran because they're right across the Gulf, they're getting hit the hardest, then that opens up North Africa for Mohammed bin Salman to gain influence as well. That's the biggest fight for these Middle Eastern countries. So I do believe he wanted this war to happen. I do believe he wanted Iran to be distracted so he can reap the benefit of that opportunistic opening. But he's talking about China and the Strait of Hormuz and how that's beneficial for the United States. That's if the United States gains complete control over that passageway. That's not confirmed. We don't know if that could happen. We don't know what Israel's going to stand in that. We also don't know what Israel's relationship will be like with China in the next 5 or 10 years. What if they're allies? What if they move away from us? That'll be more likely if Iran falls. So there's so many moving pieces he's not acknowledging, and he's also not acknowledging the fact that Israel will betray us if they get the opportunity to. If it means a greater power will benefit us with that strategic passageway being the Strait of Hormuz. It's too multifaceted, and he's giving it this black and white picture. It's not the case.
Yeah, and then he's 100% incorrect to say that was a mistake for them to attack the Gulf states. That's actually the best way to attack, because you really can't beat American military superpower like militarily. So what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to hit the United States in pressure points asymmetrically, and by attacking the Gulf states, you're undermining America's ability to project power in the region, which is a cornerstone of American power, is the ability to project power. So if you destroy their infrastructure in the region and show that the United States cannot actually protect you, that makes the Gulf really realize, yo, you guys are a liability. We don't want you here anymore, or we can't house you guys here anymore. So the Iranians have destroyed the military bases, destroyed the radars, and undermined America's ability to protect them, which in itself hurts America's credibility. So
Effectively could have destroyed our relationship with them.
And you've strained the relationship, exactly. So PVD is 100% wrong in that regard, that attacking the Gulf states is a mistake. It's actually very strategically beneficial for them to attack the Gulf states.
Forcing your neighbor.
It's like a woman, right? Like you're fighting like Iran. Think of Iran as like a female, right? No, like for just analysis, just for analogy purposes.
Now let's do it. Let's do it. I want to hear this.
And it's fighting, and she's fighting a trained boxer, right? That's physically superior. What can she do? Kick him in the nuts.
Yeah.
Kick him in the nuts. He falls down. She has time to recoup and maybe get a weapon, right? That's exactly what hitting the Gulf states is. Kicking the U.S. in the nuts, right? Because not only are you undermining our ability to project power in the region, which is one of our cornerstones of our military power, you're also hurting us financially and economically and our credibility.
So true.
Hit them in the nuts.
To become friends of Israel? What? Forcing these neighbors to all of a sudden say we're siding with Israel over Iran? Double dumb. But
they're not siding with Israel. If anything, they're pissed off because they're realizing that Israel is what's being protected over them.
Yeah.
The other thing too, that
the minister of Saudi Arabia and a Saudi official had said that. They said, "Why are you prioritizing Israel's airspace over ours in Riyadh?" So
yeah,
that's already causing tension.
He's wrong on that one too, and also he grossly underestimates how much these Gulf states all hate Israel, except for like the UAE. Like, you know, like the UAE is like kind of sold out or whatever, but like all these Gulf states, bro, like they play nice with Israel because they understand that they have to play nice with Israel diplomatically. But bro, none of these fucking countries like Israel. Nobody likes Israel in the region at all.
If the Abraham Accords were tarnished and Israel no longer had to be respected, and the United States did not guarantee their security, Israel would probably not exist, or there'd be a full-on nuclear war because every single neighboring country would attack them.
That's a fact. And that's their biggest fear, by the way, a multi-front war. This is precisely why, strategically speaking, we give money to Jordan and Egypt to protect their east and to protect their south.
if this is actually what happened, this may go down in the history books as one of the greatest case studies. Negotiation by raising the temperature so high on China and Russia and saying, hey, you better not get involved. I'm just telling you right now. I'll do a deal with you because now you need oil from us, or you need oil from Venezuela, or you need oil from Iran. That's going through us. You better make a deal with us and don't get involved. Hey, Russia, you too, don't get involved. Maybe we broker a deal. Now, again, that's if they're doing that, you got to give them credit, which I know the media won't. But if that's what they're doing, that's why we voted this person in, President Donald Trump, and I'm rooting for him to succeed. But the reality of it is, this is a lot nastier than anybody can tell you behind.
Yeah, this is really bad foreign policy analysis, man.
Yeah.
But, you know, and it's kind of a nothing burger. He didn't say anything here. He just like gave an overview of like,
again, it's like all wishful thinking, fairy tale, typical secular Iranian like analysis. Again, bro, just don't listen to anybody who has a vested interest in Iran actually becoming this like prosperous secular country, because they're going to give you wish-washy bullshit like this. Well, one day I'm hoping it's a better numbers game, and then tomorrow we're going to see if Iran is going to have a better relationship with China. And what does that mean for the United States? That means less oil money. You're saying nothing. It's like a word salad of this bullshit. No, Israel is going to have complete autonomy over the region, and we're cooked. That's it. Black and white, bro.
Yeah, this video is a nothing burger, bro. This video is a nothing burger, and like the analysis on the Gulf is just so wrong. Like the best thing that the Iranians could have done was shut down the Strait of Hormuz and attack the Gulf states. That's actually why they have so much leverage. You have to create so much pain to America's allies that they tell America you have to stop. Like that's literally.
Maybe he's not privy to the situation. It's either he's not privy to geopolitics, but I think Patrick Bet-David is smarter than that. I think his bias is shielding him from how strategic it was for Iran to hit these Gulf countries. And that's evident because the worst option is also the more likely option, and then his best option on the right side of the board are the least likely. Iran has perfect diplomacy with the world. They start trading. Everybody invests. Okay, so Iran becomes Israel? Like, what are you saying? I think what he's saying towards the middle or towards the left side of these, you know, it turns into Syria or a worse leader takes power. That's most likely. Or even a stalemate with the United States. That's potential. And by the way, by midterms, if Iran can stretch this to November, there is a really good chance this can stalemate. So we'll see how long they can hang on.
They're stretching it. They're taking it to the midterms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think Professor promised to do.
Yeah, Professor Morendi said he got it on good word that they're going to try to take this out to November, which makes sense. That's the goal. The goal is to shut down the Strait of Hormuz and, you know, death by 1,000 paper cuts and make this economically, painful, because they know that militarily they cannot win. The Iranians cannot win militarily. Let me be clear about this. But they're going to take a military L, but they're going to take a strategic W. Two different things, guys. Okay? They are going to lose militarily. They are losing militarily, but they're going to take a strategic W. That's what it is, man. So here, we'll finish what he's got to say, and then
I'm naturally coming from a place of future looks bright, and I actually.
There you go. He answered our question. He literally confirmed what you said.
Voted for the Islamic Revolutionary Guard to be gone. It was one of the questions that I asked President Trump in the interview when he was here with me, and I said, "What plans will you use?" He says, "I don't know. Everything is different. As a strategist, we're always going to be very fluid." So having said that, two things. If you want the note.
Yeah, once the IRGC gone. Like, guys, I don't want to sound like an asshole or whatever, but American Iranians are like the worst people to talk to on this conflict, bro. I'm sorry. Like, I just got to keep it 1,000 with you. Like, if some nigga lives in LA and, you know, he's an Iranian in LA, or he's a Jewish Iranian, or he's an Iranian and, like, his family's been here for multiple generations, or he's been here since 1979, like, bro, just take their opinions and just
throw it in the fucking
trash. Throw them in the trash, yo. Like, eat their opinion, bro. I keep it 1,000 with y'all. They're the worst people to talk to, bro. They're the worst people to talk to.
Well, they're so conceited, and they believe all the brainwash and bullshit. And
bro.
They haven't been to their country in years, and they're like a pawn. And I love my Kurds, but what the Kurds are to the United States is what the Iranian secular ones are to Israel. That's what the secular Iranians are to Israel. They just do the bidding. They perpetuate the narrative further. They spread Zionism indirectly. They say that the Jews want the peace in the Middle East, but realistically, they just want power over every single person so they can amass their borders further. And the Iranians are blind to that. They never acknowledge that.
They're the worst.
Not one time in that deep analysis did Patrick Bet-David ever acknowledge the fact that Israel wants complete control to expand their country. But that's something they're never going to acknowledge. And of course, I understand some people may say it's conspiratorial. We can remove that and negate that. I'll still grant you the fact that the United States has a decisive ability to gain their power in the region by talking within these two powers and kind of being decisive authority. So if we lose that, that's also a big hit to our power structure as well.
Bro, like, I'll tell y'all this, like, keep in mind, these people, like, these Iranians that are here, they've been here for a long time. They're American citizens. They're totally westernized. Like, they don't give a fuck about Iran's actual future. What they care about is being able to go there and visit and not get kicked out or hung. Yeah. That's what they care about. Like, they want to be able to go back and, like vacation there, be like, I'm home, and like take some pictures and then leave, nigga. Like that's really what they're like. They don't really care about the country, like, because if they cared about the country, they wouldn't want the Israelis and the Americans to run it. But since they don't give a fuck, they're like, we just want to be able to go back and have a democracy, allegedly, or whatever. So they're not really too interested in that, and it's very important. And American Iranians are the fucking worst people to give commentary on this conflict, bro. The worst people.
Because they just can't. Right? They can't hide their own bias. It's impossible. So
yeah, they can't hide it. And they will side with the Israelis, bro, over their own people. Like, so you can't.
Which shows
you
how
trust
bad faith they are on the topic, right? If you're side with them, then it's like not even worth arguing with you. You're such a bad faith position. It doesn't even make sense to attack your position, honestly. But that's kind of what I expected. It was good in the beginning, and then it just got progressively worse. But whatever.
So real quick, I want to go over this because I know you got to go. So again, guys, this is very true. This is where we are right now, right? After weeks, airstrikes, drone wars, escalation, America is now boxed into 3 choices, and every single one's a nightmare. Obviously, number 1, retreat. We talked about that, Riyadh, in detail. Pull out of Iran, lose the Middle East forever. Israel left to fight alone against Iran, Hezbollah, and Pakistan on every border. America looks weak to China, Russia, and every enemy watching. The dollar's oil backing gone. Yes, that's good. The Gulf states are going to say, fuck these niggas. Number 2, boots on the ground. Obviously, this is what me and you don't want. Send American soldiers into Iran, a country of 90 million people, mountain terrain, urban warfare, population ready for martyrdom. Afghanistan lasted 20 years. It cost $2.3 trillion against 40 million people. So half the population. Iran is more than double the population with a real military. Thousands of American troops come home in body bags. That's a fact. And you can't invade. You can't invade from the north, and you can't also invade from the west. Number 3, nuclear. Bomb Iran with nukes, risk global destruction. This is where we are right now, chat. They're seriously entertaining this one. Okay. Russia and China have both warned that they won't stand by. The entire world turns against America overnight. Civilization we know is over. Here's the thing. I don't know about this one. I don't know. This nigga is a Chinese propagandist. So we have to, again, you know, me and my brother, we're always going to try to give it to you guys very straight. We'll call it out. Like, this nigga's a Chinese biased propagandist, so he's going to say this. I don't think Russia and China will do shit.
Russia and China will both warn.
I have both warned that they won't stand by.
We've expressed that prior, that we don't expect Russia and China to directly involve themselves in this
even
conflict. There's no benefit
if they're
for them.
nuked.
Yeah.
Even if they're nuked, them niggas won't come in. So this nigga's a Chinese propagandist, man. Like we will call it out when niggas are on some bullshit. China and Russia, if Iran gets nuked, they're just gonna accept it, bro. They're not gonna do shit.
By the way, for his option one, go back to the top. I think he said, because this is pretty good. He's pretty spot on top to bottom here. He says if we pull out of Iran completely. Also, another thing is if we pull out of Iran and we stalemate with them, that's going to have to be under the condition that they promise to not attack Israel. We cannot guarantee that. So we might be stuck in a war where we have to defend Israel. And let's say we do pull out and say, we'll call your bluff. We're not going to defend you, or we're not going to fight you anymore. You won't attack Israel. They attack Israel. Israel's going to say, oh, the United States left? Pull out the nuke. So there's that as well. So it's screwed on all corners.
It really is. I think we're, politically, this is what have to might be, because we can't. The Iranians want this to last longer. Honestly, if we nuke Iran, I don't think they're going to quit. I don't think they're going to quit, bro. Even if we nuke them.
Well, it depends the scale of the nuke, right? It
with
depends
no ground assault.
If we hit them in the right
with
area,
no ground assault, they're not gonna quit, bro. Remember when we nuked Japan? Japan didn't want to surrender. Japan did not. Guys, fun fact for you guys when it comes to World War II. Everyone thinks that the Japanese surrendered because we nuked them. No. That actually increased their resolve. They did not want to surrender. The only reason they surrendered was because the Russians were doing a land invasion, and they would have invaded Japan, and they were not going to let them surrender, and they were going to kill them off. So it was, interestingly enough, it was Stalin and the Soviets coming to their east, coming from their west, that made them surrender, because they knew that they wouldn't be able to surrender to the Russians. That's why they surrendered to America. But it was because of the ground invasion they surrendered, not the nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
So
and no, there's no doubt it would be devastating to Iran. It depends what scale of nuclear weapon we have. I'm sure we have a plethora of options there. But regardless, I think the only way to drive home, at least what Patrick Bet-David is saying on the right end of his scale, in this large spectrum he's labeling.
If we use a nuclear bomb, say goodbye to non-proliferation. Everyone's going to rush to get one.
Yep, absolutely. The whole world, everybody's going to start building up and enriching uranium. And so on the farther end of Patrick Bet-David's spectrum, he's over there talking about, well, if everything goes perfectly and stuff like that. Again, like we said, it's far-fetched. And if a nuke is introduced, I don't think that's going to completely decapitate or stop the IRGC's ability to respond somewhat. And let's say we destroy their ability to launch these ballistic missiles. That does not destroy, or that does not immobilize their ability on the ground to still control the country within the civilian population. We destroyed all their missile carriers. They can't hit missiles anymore. All right, that's a big benefit. Now you got to get in there, get gritty, get dirty, and actually stop the IRGC from controlling the civilian population, which it seems from what I'm seeing on X, a good deal of them support them and back them. So that's another step after we destroy these missile carriers. That's why I can guarantee you boots on ground must take place if we are to effectuate full-scale regime change the way Patrick Bet-David is lining it up in this butterfly fairy tale scenario that's very unlikely.
Yeah. No, facts. Okay. Did you want to... Yeah, so this is where we are, man. You want me to jump into space here for a little bit, or are you going to leave right now? Up to you.
I'll jump off now.
Okay.
Get some sleep, and then just shout out to Ken Rose for the $5. Thank you so much. But I'm caught up on chats. I'm caught up. Do you have any?
I got a bunch, but I can read them after
later. Okay, yeah. That doesn't make sense for you to read them now. All right, so yeah, I'll hop off now. Shout out to all you guys for showing love. Channel's growing substantially. For all of you guys watching on Myron's...
Wait, let me pull your channel up right now.
Yeah, go
ahead. Let me pull up your channel right now, matter of fact. And then you could drop my kick link too, but let me go ahead and show. Here's my brother right here, guys. We got 700 plus people watching over there. So make sure to give a like, subscribe to this channel, guys. For those of you guys that are still watching, you guys feel free to come on over and watch on Kick if you guys want. But here, let me drop my brother's channel real quick for you guys watching on Kick and OSS. Give him a subscription. Follow him on YouTube. Okay, he's still on YouTube for you guys. So
yeah, give me the 12K soon. Help me out.
Yeah, so do me a favor, subscribe to him. Let's get him to 12K, guys. Subscribe to my brother's channel. It's called Riyad's Report on YouTube, as you guys can see right here. Let me make it big for you guys. Here's his channel. All right, so make sure to subscribe. He does his own thumbnails and everything. He does edit his own videos, all that shit.
Check out my recent video on Jake Lang. I react to that and his whole thing on Muslims and stuff. I thought that was pretty funny. It was a good reaction. And then, subscribe to the channel. Me and my brother will be going live once or twice a week. Depends on his schedule and stuff like that. But guys, in my chat, check out the link that I pinned for Myron's kick stream. Go over there, spam W Big Bro, And yeah, we'll be back here on, I think I'll probably be back on Thursday. Are you streaming Thursday? I mean, you may not know ahead of time.
Well, I'll be here every day. So if you can hop in whenever you want during the week, if you want.
Sounds good. Yeah, so I'll jump in a few times in the week, for sure on Thursday and for sure on Saturdays. Those are my days, at least for now. But yeah, guys, show some love to the clips page. Also here, I'll just show this really quick and then I'll get out of here. My guy Halimi is running clips page here. This is it. Okay, Riyadh Pilled. Give that a follow on Instagram. He's uploading 2 clips a day.
Okay.
So
I'm banned on IG, but I'm going to follow it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Put the link in my chat, if you can.
Sure.
Actually, let me see. Someone here is going to put it.
I already put it.
You already put it in my chat. Yep. Perfect. Okay.
Under Riyadh's report, you should see it.
Okay. Yeah, guys, go follow him on that Instagram, and then follow Riyadh Pill is hilarious. Yeah, go follow that. Go follow that one, and then follow him on YouTube. And yeah, give this video a like, guys, and follow his channel, man. So
appreciate it, guys. Yo, good analysis. Yo, W, bro. Who on YouTube is doing it like us, bro? I don't think
nobody,
many,
man.
Bro.
We're getting the best analysis on this shit on the internet right now, bro. We're showing. Because here's the thing: we give the analysis, then we give you guys the proof to show you guys we know what we're talking about. We told you guys we're not just gonna sit here and tell you, oh, the U.S. is running an intelligence operation, and they lied to you. We showed you guys the fucking proof, bro. We got the Secretary of fucking State, former Secretary of State, former Director of CIA, admitting that Mossad was there. We're showing you guys the Starlink. We're showing you guys, House Oversight Committee testimony showing that the U.S. was involved in getting Starlink smuggled into the country. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're showing you guys, we got the receipts to show we know what we're talking about. So,
yeah,
but yeah, man. But no, I'll probably, and then also, yeah, well, let's have you back on Tuesday, bro, because I'm gonna do a long stream on Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay, how's Tuesday? Like 9 o'clock. Let's do that.
Yeah.
There's
exactly.
There's gonna be some developments, man. So we're gonna have to cover the news consistently because there's
and obviously if something crazy happens, just come on.
Yeah, we're gonna have to emergency stream, emergency broadcast. All right, guys. Appreciate all the love. Jump over to my Imminent stream because I'm about to end stream now. The kick link is pinned above in my chat, and I'll see you guys soon. Probably on Tuesday and then Thursday and Saturday. Hopefully, I'm able to make it on Saturday. And then will you be live on the weekend as well?
Yeah. We got to make up for, obviously, because I was going out of town. So yeah, we'll make it up.
All right, bet.
All right, guys. All right, man. So go subscribe to my brother's channel, guys. It's shown right here, Riyadh Report, and I'll see you tomorrow, bro. I'll talk to you.
All right, bro. Peace out.
All
right, chat. We'll see you soon. Appreciate the love. Jump over to my brother's stream if you haven't already. Look at that lighting scheme. It looks good. Shout out to TPC Films. Shout out to my guy Halimi for running the clips on YouTube and Instagram. And we will see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, enjoy. I look forward to hearing from you guys then. I appreciate the view count, the subscribers, the likes, the comments. Engage with the content. Get me pushed. Get the YouTube making some money so I can escape the Matrix. And God bless everybody who tuned in tonight. I appreciate all the love. When do we see you on Fresh and Fit? I don't know. Maybe one day. All right, guys. Love. W's in the chat. Jump over to Myron stream. Spam W Big Bro in his chat. Spam W Big Bro. Peace. Appreciate it.